Hey everybody, Arsenal Fan Circle here. It is Thursday night forum with reverb in there. Gary and Stan tonight. How we doing, fellas?
Good, good.
Interlull Part Two, Gary. So, how we? Have you watched any international football? What have
Yeah,
you?
I actually watched the last two semifinals for the I guess it was a UEFA Nations Cup or whatever that thing is called. Yeah, I watched those. They were pretty good. I mean, they're really good actually. Lots of scoring, right? Um, but yeah, no, they looked good. I guess I don't know. Would we consider those probably four of the top teams in the world? Probably playing outside of probably
It was
England and
Belgium and France.
yeah, Belgium and France, and then the day before was Italy and Spain, right? So I mean, you got four of the top teams. I
Yeah,
mean, Spain might
yeah.
not be all the way up
Well,
there, but the other three definitely, right?
yeah. Stan, how are you doing?
I'm good, mate. Good evening, everyone.
Yeah,
Yes,
good
yep.
evening. Listen, we're going to dip in and out. We're going to talk about a few things, but international interlull part two, Stan, and these are the interruptions that we don't want as Arsenal fans. We want to keep going, continuity. Get that taste of the Brighton draw out of our mouth a little bit with the next game, but we have to wait.
I got caught out because after the last interlull, I thought the next one was the one that comes up after the Watford game. I didn't realise that we had one here, so it kind of caught me by surprise. And I haven't really, I never really watch a lot of international football. Plus, as well, the times here, so I knew that Belgium and France played, but I don't even know any results or anything like that. So
Yeah, international football is sort of taken a back seat in recent years. I think aside from the Euros, which was really good this past summer. Um, so Gary, any topics you want to throw out there? We'll talk about, or should we just freestyle it tonight?
Any topics? There's not really any topics I want to talk about. I mean, I guess, yeah. I don't know. I mean, yeah, I didn't think. I thought you were gonna have something in your pocket before you started
Well,
asking
yeah,
us.
we can definitely talk about the two blocks of games that we played in between these international breaks. First four games: Brentford away from home, Chelsea, Manchester City, and then we had the break in the next four games. So two completely different set of circumstances, two completely set, two completely different sets of results. And I thought we picked it up quite well, quite slowly against Norwich, Burnley away from home, and then Tottenham, the big one, Tottenham, and then followed by Brighton, which was, a little bit of a letdown. But all in all, if I was to tell you before we played these four games that we would get 10 points out of 12, you probably would have bit my hand off for that, right?
I think we should have expected something like that. I think that would be the bare minimum. I think going in. I mean, regardless of what was going on the three games before, or just in general, out of those 4 matches, I think 10 points is the bare minimum we should have gotten. Right. I mean, it's definitely where we think we are as a team as far as our quality. Maybe we would have flopped the Brighton and the Tottenham kind of score lines in terms of a draw, and then a win. And especially with the situation that was going on, we should have expected to hopefully get something out of that Brighton game. So I think 10 was definitely. I got the Alexa making noises over here. Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Uh, Sorry about that, but
that's
yeah, no, I
good.
think I think 10 was, at least for me, that was the bare minimum. I mean, that's like, okay, I'm satisfied with that. It would have been nice to get all the 3 points, but I think going into that stretch, I mean, even like before the season, after the next three, I still would have expected to get 10 out of that. We're playing two of the bottom teams of the league, a Brighton team that we should be able to compete with, and a Spurs team that's always a big deal. So yeah, that's kind of how I see that going. So this should be the norm for us where we're sitting in after the last four games.
Mhm.
Uh, so
Stan, where do you see the last four games, especially three wins and a draw? Um, you know,
Looking at
a pretty decent haul of points.
looking at who we played, I think Gary's right in that's what you would expect to get 10 out of 12. However, because of everything that had been going on around the club when the season started, I didn't think that when I was looking at that, I set it lower. I
Yeah,
was, for example, when I was looking at the first two games out of this little run, I was thinking at least, at those first two games, I was thinking maybe 4 points, a win and a draw. I was thinking maybe we'd get a draw at Burnley. And then going into the North London derby, again, I didn't think that we were going to play the way that we did. So they've actually exceeded my expectations, to be fair. So that now gives me confidence looking at the next chunk of games to say, well, I look at the opposition and I say, well, we should be trying to go for that again, 10 points out of 12. We're on an unbeaten run now of, I think is it 5 games?
5 games including the cup
That's not
win.
bad.
Yeah.
That's not too shabby. So
No,
don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that we've turned a corner and everything's well and we're playing brilliant football. There's still a lot of things that need to be sorted out. However, if we can still pick up points while it's being ironed out and the kinks are being worked out, then that's good. I'd rather have that than we're just like losing every game and we're being told it's going to come, it's going to come. So I'd rather be winning playing badly than not at all.
yeah, and definitely we want to drill down and talk about those games and how the team is performing, especially during the last four games where we did pick up those 10 points. We had that slow start, of course. I mean, it's not pretty going to Brentford with the team that we had and the result that we had, but it seems like a long time ago now. Tony, welcome to the podcast, Tony.
Hello.
So, how are you feeling tonight, Tony?
I'm feeling so. I'm still trying to find my glasses. I'm at the duck off here in a second and try to find my glasses.
they're on your
Hiding from
head,
me.
He's squinting.
yo, famous.
Um,
They're on my head.
So we're gonna have a little bit of a have your say session. So I'm gonna have each of you dive in with topics, and we're gonna have a free for all, pretty much a free for all. And anyone in the comment section as well, throw in as well if you want to throw any questions out there. Um, but definitely, we're gonna talk about the last four games. So Tony, three wins and a draw. The last four games between the first interlull and this one. How are you feeling about those 10 points?
I think we're lucky to have 10 points. I think we were lucky to get a point last weekend. If it wasn't for Ramsdale's great saves, I think they would have won the game. But we got by and got the draw. To me, like Gary said, you expect at least 10 points out of those games. Playing the teams they're playing, then playing Spurs in the form they're in. You expect that. We got the 10 points. I still don't think we're near a good enough team. You have everybody. We won 3 in a row without Zaka. Now, last game, everybody's blaming us getting a draw because he wasn't in the team. Just people are idiots.
I know, Tony, you don't really want to talk about Jack Wilshere, but as BX Gunner says, we have to talk about Wilshere. So, listen, we're going to talk about a lot of things. The next topic, really, I wanted to start at the top of the show, was with the passing of Colossal Chig. So, we want to pay our respects to him and his family. And, passed away too young, Gary, 36 years old.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, this is a crazy time. All these Arsenal podcasters just leaving us sooner than we expected them to. So yeah, I mean, as I said on the show on Monday, when I first was watching uh, Arsenal podcasts, I watched a lot of podcasts with Chig and Lee Gunner. They were basically partners and doing a lot of shows together. So I watched him a lot, and so and then started watching Chig also for a little while. By on his show on his channel. Nice guy, knowledgeable.
Mhm.
He'll crack some jokes as well. Yeah, too soon, and you never know, and that's what that Monica DWTT is all about. Don't waste a trip. This life, you don't know when it's going to end, so you want to make sure that you don't waste your opportunities and do everything you can, because you never know. You never know. And yeah, it's sad to see him. He's gone.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
yeah,
and
condolences to him and the family. I know the family are in shock and stuff like that. So yeah.
Stan, in this community, we make connections with people. We've all made connections with each other here on this podcast. People in the comments section. I think every time something like this happens, we caution ourselves. Uh, we're on this planet for a short. We're on this earth for a short amount of time, so we have to make the most of it. But I think we sort of go back to our lives and forget about these things. But we have to really remember to savor every minute, even as bad as things can get. To do that.
Yeah, I never knew Chig.
Yeah.
I've never seen any of his content either. And a lot of people online that I've done stuff with that do know him, but I've just never been in his circle. Maybe seen one, maybe two bits of videos that he's been in. But like Gary said, it's sad when you hear of someone so young just passing away like that. You think that you've got it all ahead of you. It does make you, stop for a moment, take stock, and try to maybe not take things so much for granted, whether it's relationships or where you are in life. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's a sad thing to hear. I've seen a lot of people talking about it online, but personally, I've never had any interactions with them myself. But sad.
Yeah, and I've never had really any interactions with him as well. I knew of him, but it's just you take a moment when somebody in the community of Arsenal and extended family of the Gooner family, we lose one, and of course we lost Claude earlier, like about a year ago now, Stan, as well. So yeah, as Gary said, another one from the not only from the YouTube community, the podcasting community, but a Gooner in general as well. And, so Tony, um, over to you.
Yeah, unlike you and Stan, I've never had really any interactions with him, just slightly knew who he was. 36 is way too young. That's why you got to make the most of every day, live in the moment, not think about the past, not look to the future, live in the moment. Use today as a gift and just
How old did you say
do
he
what
was?
you can while you're here.
Did you say he was
Life is too
26?
short.
36, 36.
36.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's pretty much it.
yeah. Listen, rest in peace, Chig, and condolences to family and friends who knew him as well and who knew him well. And I know a few people have said that he was able to be friends with everyone, even if his friends were not friends with each other. And I think that is a good way to conduct yourself. I think, and we all should try to aspire in that way. So listen, since we had a request here, it's pretty much have your say. So let's talk about Jack Wilshere. Stan, want to start off with Jack Wilshere coming back into the Arsenal family?
So what's the story then? He's at Arsenal. We knew that. We heard rumours that he was going to be going back to do training. I don't have an issue with that.
No.
I would actually say that just, okay. Just,
You got the power. You got the mic. You got the controls.
that's not me.
It's not me.
Me.
So it wasn't me.
Tony then. Tony
So,
did heavy metal.
So we knew that he's probably looking for his glasses, isn't he? So
Yeah, he's looking for his glass, so he's pressing buttons probably everywhere. You know what I mean?
we knew that he was coming back to the club like a few weeks ago, and I don't have any problem with that. And as I was saying,
No.
just kind of looking a little bit of the age of our squad, and we do have a lot of new faces in the team. I think it's quite a good thing to have somebody around the club who's been around for a little bit, is a good professional. I'm sure that he's going to be a role model in training because this is all about him getting his coaching badges or perhaps getting a contract somewhere else. So he's going to be doing everything that he can so that anybody that goes to Arsenal for a back channel report on how he's doing are going to hear glowing things. As for the playing side of it, don't get me wrong. I wouldn't want us to go out and offer him a 2 or a 3 year contract. But the fact of the matter is, we are light in midfield, and we are going to get lighter in midfield come January with the African nations as well. If a player is at the club and he's not on a contract and he can pay as you play or something like that without a huge commitment, and obviously that would have to be based on him being looked at by the coaches and saying, well, he's up to par. He could actually play at this level in this squad, then I wouldn't be against it.
Yeah.
You've got to remember as well, when it comes to January, we've just spent 150 million. How much more is there going to be to spend in January? We don't know. We were told that we weren't going to have much in the summer. We went out and spent more than anyone. So I would say that it could be handy to have a Jack Wilshere in your back pocket if you've got no more lifeboats left. Do you know what I mean? There's no more lifeboats left, just scrambling. You can climb aboard the Jack Wilshere and maybe get to the island. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, that's Jack. Yeah.
That's how I'm kind of looking at it. But I'm kind of, I think it's a good thing, as I say, to have him around some of these younger guys doing the training as well, because, he's going to be nothing but a good vibe.
Yeah, I think you're right, Stan. He's going to get something out of it as well by learning how to coach younger players. It's something that he's going to be doing later on in his career when he does have a coaching job. So, and I think it's we want to reintroduce the class and history of Arsenal. I think we've lost it. It's been tarnished a little bit over the last 4 or 5 years. I'm thinking of Koscielny and how he left under a cloud, So by Arsenal doing this, and we did it with Thierry Henry before, and Jack Wilshere can come and train, get himself fit again, maybe do his badges and all that stuff. I think it can only help both Arsenal and it can help Jack as well. Tony, what's your thoughts on it? I know you really didn't want to delve into this one, Tony. I don't know why. And you found your monocles.
Yeah, I found my glasses. Had my phone on Do Not Disturb. I'm not sure how it rang. It's not rang the last 2 months on here, although.
So what's your thoughts on Jack Wilshere?
Yeah, I've seen a lifetime of pictures of Jack today. I think to me, he's always an overrated player. He never ended up at anything. He's at the club for 13 years, something like that in total.
Yeah, probably overrated because he reached those heights and he wasn't able to get back to those heights. So, in that aspect,
he was supposed to be like the next Paul Gascoigne, wasn't he?
Yeah,
basically.
Yeah,
I think hope.
And I don't see why it took so long for the team to reach out to him. It took Arteta coming out in the press and saying welcoming him and all that. We've always let players come in and train. We let Robert Perez have a lifetime gym membership. I think it's good that Jack's working on his coaching badges. I pretty much think his playing career is over. I think he just needs to focus on coaching, because he's tried play with several teams. It just hasn't worked. Gets released. Just isn't good enough anymore. A lot of hours on them young legs. It's weird he's still that young, but I think he needs to focus on coaching and other parts of his life.
Gary, he was always that kind of player that would want to reach for the ball, get the last toe end on a ball, and that's how he maybe invited a lot of injury on himself. We're talking about don't waste the trip. We're talking about you know making the most of things, and for Jack Wilshere to be 28, 29 years old and not be playing with a club, it's really a tough thing. Not be able to find a spot anywhere, and Arsenal opened their arms to him.
Yeah, I mean, I think I don't know if it's because of how things ended with Arsenal. I mean, Arsenal wanted him back. He didn't want Arsenal back because he thought he had more to give, and Arsenal at least didn't think he had all of that. And it's come back to bite him, right? You never know, you never know when that could be your last opportunity, right? And that was, so I think the way it had ended, maybe that's the sign. Uh, I'm, for me, I kind of look at it this way. Arsenal is having a problem with the players it already has, just managing their time and their whatever they need to get better because we're not. I don't think we're seeing the best of the team players that we've got. So for me, like bringing on Jack, it's good, but I just feel it's like another thing that they have to deal with now. You know, maybe a distraction in the sense that they have to, they're gonna have to talk about it. They're gonna have to do whatever they have to do, and I don't think they're at a spot. I don't think Arsenal's in a space where they can handle those types of things right now. I mean, they're really managing the players they do have, and I just find it, it's like taking on all these extra responsibilities that you can't you can't. I mean, the same thing with the Amazon documentary.
That's what I was
Team,
just gonna
a
say.
team,
It's gonna make
team.
another episode.
Yeah,
Jack
well, no,
Wilshere comes home.
a team like Arsenal right now isn't being managed for me well, where I feel like they're doing everything they should be. They might be getting there, but like to take on more and more things, I think it's just the adds to the pile of things they already have to do. So I'm hoping this isn't as much
Well,
as a distraction, and it's just a player coming and getting, like you said, using the gym. But and then the distraction also is now okay. Maybe he'll play, and like, are you serious? We've got more than enough players that are sitting around not playing to add another one. If we're like, what are we going to do with Balogun? What are we doing with Martinelli? What are we going to do with Maitland Niles? Cedric, Marie, Holding, Chambers. We've got more than enough players who aren't getting playing time right now.
yeah, and
Yeah,
I don't think the intention will be for him to
no,
play
but I
with
mean that's
us,
the
but for him
distraction. Is
to.
now we have another player, and the talk is right. Maybe he'll get to play some, come in and play spot duty and stuff. I'm like, what about the players that are already here that aren't even getting the spot duty, right?
Mhm.
They're not getting the cleanup time at the end of a match when you want to give somebody a break. So I kind of feel like they're just taking on a little too much sometimes, and they're not really in that place. This isn't a team that's established themselves, as a proper club right now, the way they've been managed. So, you
Yeah,
know,
I think it's not that much
Can I
of a
ask
distraction.
Gary a question, please?
yeah,
If you've got, say, like Ainsley Maitland-Niles and you've got Jack Wilshere in your training and you're watching them training and you're looking at Ainsley Miles and he looks a bit sluggish and you don't think he's putting in maybe the required amount that you're expecting, and then you're looking over at Jack Wilshere and he's giving you everything and he's looking, he's looking sharp. Who would you rather pick? If we had a game coming up and we were down, we were down in the midfield and there was one place and the only two people that could be available would be an Ainsley Maitland-Niles or a Jack Wilshere. In the scenario that I've just sort of painted,
yeah.
who would you pick?
Well,
Would
I'm
you
just gonna.
go ahead and pick Ainsley Maitland-Niles?
Well, here's the thing: if that's the situation, then why in the world did he want to come back? Why did he put out that tweet or that Instagram post or whatever it was? Because that was the person that wanted to play and was going to give 110% to get on the pitch. That's what he told us, right? That's what he put out there to the world to see, that I want to play and I want some direction. And if that, I mean, I know it's an example, but I'm just saying he said he wants to play. So I would expect him not to be the situation for him. But if Jack's out there and he's looking like somebody who's more energized and more willing to go out there and play, then yeah, we have a problem. We've always had this problem, right? So that's kind of what I would look at there, and I would be like, yeah, if Jack comes in, a player who's basically seeing the light at the end of the tunnel and wants to play, and we've got players now that think they're worth a lot of money. They've got teams that want them and they won't go because of the money. Then you know what? That's a bad look. And those are the players that I guess you would want to kind of get away from if they're not going to be 100% willing to play for you. So yeah, I hope that's not the situation, Stan. Because if it is, then we still got a lot of cleanup to do to get to the place where we want to be. But yeah, if Jack comes in here and is doing all those things, then I'm like, tell him if he's out there outshining the players we have, then what does that say about the players we have? I mean, it's the same thing as if like we've got Xhaka as our best midfielder. He can do everything that Arteta wants, but we feel like we can still improve from that situation, because nobody else is even close, right? Right? They don't do the things that he does and the things that Arteta wants. So it's like
There's
we're just not in a good spot. So I'm hopefully what the example that you brought up isn't something that they're going through right now. All those players should be wanting to play. I can't believe they all wanted to sit there on the bench and not going to go out there and give 100% in practice if that's what Arteta looks at when he's saying, all these players ready to go, So, yeah, I mean, if
maybe having him around will help some players as well raise their game
yeah.
in training. I mean, we had David Beckham training with us for a while. Do you remember that some years ago? He didn't kick a ball for us, but I mean, it must give you a lift when you're going into training. You've got David Beckham doing free kick practices and stuff like that. You're learning. It's a good vibe. So I think, I mean, I hope we don't get to a situation where we need him, because I never like to go backwards. But if he's up to it and we're sure, I don't think it's a case where we should cut our noses off to spite our face and, play like a central defender in that position just because we don't want to touch Jack. Do you know what I'm getting at?
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I just feel like that. Yeah.
And I think that we have a very, very young squad to that point. And we have a lot of young players. I'm thinking about even a Charlie Patino, Balogun, Nketiah, all these players that could look up to the practice and the way Jack Wilshere would carry himself in training, And I think if you're training with better players, you can only become better yourself whilst training. It can only raise the level. Thierry Henry, Beckham in the past, I think can only be a good thing. I don't think in the end that he's going to be offered a playing contract with Arsenal, but I think it's a good thing that we've opened the doors to a former Gooner. And what do we think of Tottenham? Shit.
Well, no, think about it. Okay, if you're the captain of Arsenal, wouldn't you be the best person to be able to talk about Arsenal? It would be I'm just wondering, if you were the captain of Arsenal, the captain, right? So the person
we have one.
At least, I'm just no. If you were is the optimal the word I'm looking at.
The operative word, yeah.
If you were the captain of Arsenal, who better than the captain of Arsenal to be able to talk about Arsenal and talk about the history and talk about the bigger rivals and the biggest matches and all those things? Who better to be able to speak to that, because they've done it. They've been leading our team.
But you say that, Gary, but we've lost our way. We've brought in a lot of high-powered players who are coming to the ends of their careers. Aubameyang being one of them. David Luiz, players from other clubs that have had former glories, and we've not been able to carry that tradition forward of, classy Arsenal, historic Arsenal, the way Arsenal do things the right way. We've not been able to do that. We've lost our way probably the last decade. The likes of Per Mertesacker. Who would have been the last player that played for us that you would say carries the traditions and history of Arsenal forward in the way that they carried themselves? I would say that's Per Mertesacker was the last one.
I'm just like you're trying to tell me that the captain of Arsenal would not be the person that you would look to be able to do something like that, like a former captain.
I'm telling you, we've lost our way a little bit in terms of the tradition.
I get that, but you're telling me Per is better suited to be able to do that than a former captain of Arsenal?
Yeah,
That's what
Per,
you're telling me.
when he was a player, Per carried himself in a better way than Aubameyang did.
No, a former captain, like
Hmm.
our manager,
Yeah,
like the
Arteta.
person that's leading the team today.
Yeah,
A guy that never
You're
played but
telling me
was
that
still
he would
captain.
not be the best person to do that?
I'm just saying Per Mertesacker was probably one of the best candidates to carry the tradition of Arsenal. I
But
didn't
not the
think
but
of
not a
when
captain of Arsenal. See, that's
when
where I get that's why I'm going back and forth with you, because you're trying to tell me that being a captain of Arsenal means you wouldn't be a good candidate to be able to pass the torch on to the next set of players, and I kind of find that you know I kind of find that not really, I don't think that's really that doesn't said too much for being a
so
captain at Arsenal then, right? I don't know, doesn't it carry a little bit more
Mertesacker
weight?
Mertesacker was a former captain of Arsenal, right?
Few games.
Yeah, but he's teaching the younger kids. He's not teaching the first team, which is what we're talking about, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm just trying to understand where you're going with this one.
No,
I
I
don't
don't
get the
know what
question.
you
To
brought
be
up. You brought up
honest,
Pierre
I don't
Mertesacker,
understand
and
the
I'm like,
question.
why does it have to go to the head of the development for the academy and not to the manager of Arsenal?
I'm talking about the last player that I would remember that has carried the traditions of Arsenal forward and carried himself in such a way that he would extol the virtues of Arsenal Football Club and the tradition and history. Per Mertesacker to me comes to mind. Not Aubameyang, not an
Not
Ozil.
Arteta, because that's the one person I keep bringing up, and you keep skipping over.
Arteta is not one who would have come to my mind as being an inspirational captain.
That's not a good sign. That right there is not a good sign. If a former captain of the team isn't better than isn't a good candidate
All
to be
right,
able to
so
handle that.
who would you pick has been the last player to have played for Arsenal in the last few years that carried themselves with the traditions of Arsenal? I'm trying to grasp where you're going with this still.
You brought up Pierre Mertesacker. I just was asking about
You
Arteta. So
well,
it's not
you
me.
mentioned a
I'm not
captain.
driving this conversation to Pierre
Mentioned
Mertesacker.
you mentioned a captain.
Yeah, and you knew who I was talking about, and then you went a different direction, which
No,
is all
I
right.
didn't know you were talking about Arteta. I thought
There's
you were
only
talking
one
about.
Don't
former
talk
manager.
about Uncle Artie, Gary.
All right, I'm sorry. All right, move on.
Gary, you have to change your white background to a red one. That's Tottenham color.
Don't we wear white shorts? So is that we got to change our short? Arsenal's look. You got white on white,
Get yourself down
white
to
and red.
Home Depot, Gary. Buy some red paint.
This is just a curtain, man. This is not a white background. I'm not.
All right, so no, this is. I think we've touched on something here. Maybe is worth talking about for a few minutes, since it's Interlull and we're scratching around for things to talk about. But we'll find things to talk about. Stan, Bal says so. We say the older players are no good. Why do we have that now? And now we have a squad that is too young. We've gone a completely different way, right?
I
Bringing
do
through
think
young
there is a
players.
slight imbalance looking at the profile. I mean, Nicola Pepe is one of our senior players, but he doesn't feel like it. Do you know what I mean? He still feels like he's someone a bit new. And it's probably because of he's a little bit kind of introvert. But he's one of the senior players now, right? How old is he? 26?
26 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's actually coming into the prime of his football career for the position that he plays. And then I look at the central defence, and I was going to say Barry White, Ben White.
Gabriel and Barry White.
Barry White. Ben White is and Gabriel Megalegs are supposed to be the future of our defence, but they're both quite young, and I always feel that in that position, you need to have someone not just on the coaching side, but you need to have a little help with in-game management, a little bit of an experience next to you. And I think if you look at who Ben White played with at Leeds and at Brighton, he had that next to him. He had Lewis Dunk next to him, and I can't remember the other one. But again, it was somebody that was a little bit older. So even though they're probably getting good coaching, it worries me that the both of them are not learning in game because they're kind of at a similar level. I would like
Yeah.
to see us. I'm not saying that we need to have a 28-year-old defender playing now, but I think we need to have our third defender needs to be someone with a bit more experience who can push Gabriel and White for a place. Because our most experienced centre back at the minute is Rob Holding. I mean,
Yeah.
as much as I
Yeah.
quite like Rob, I like him, and he's been around us for a while. I don't see that he's really got the right to be giving out a load of advice, if that makes any sense. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean,
You know?
if you're gonna like give it large to your teammates, you need to back it up. Like Roy Keane or Patrick Vieira, they could give their teammates a bollocking because they have a certain level of performance that they're going to maintain every game. And you can't give someone a bollocking if you're having a bad game yourself.
And it's
And
probably the reason why the manager favours Xhaka so much, because he sees him as having that face in the team. Problem is, he's fucking shit, and he's fucking out all the time when he gets red carded or whatever. You know, he's not reliable. But I get what he sees in the profile. A little bit like David Luiz. Again, a player that we shouldn't have never have bought, but that was his role. And this is why I think that when we go out and buy, if we do get rid of Leno, and that all goes south next summer, and we need to go and get another goalkeeper, I think he needs to be a bit of a journeyman. He needs to be someone who's maybe 29
Yeah.
and between 29 and 33,
Yeah.
maybe played in a couple of different countries, so he's had different coaches under him. Someone that is going to understand that Ramsdale's the main man. However, you can push him. You know, you can
Yeah.
push him and win a place, and I think that would help Ramsdale.
And that's the perfect squad augmentation. You have Ramsdale, who's going to go on and push to be number one England goalkeeper. I think he's doing quite well with Arsenal. He's going to progress. He's going to put Pickford under pressure for that position. But you're dead right.
And also as well, maybe Lacazette and maybe Aubameyang are doing that behind the scenes because again, they're senior statesmen, but both of them seem to have one foot out of the door, right? If you look
Yeah.
back over the last 6 months, both of them, there's been loads of stories about them someone being interested in them or them not being happy, bad patches of form. So they don't look like they're going to be permanent fixtures.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of things to go with that for me. Like, I think Louise isn't exactly like Xhaka in a sense that I feel like he can actually do a job, and do the job the way that Arteta wants. And he's vocal, but then like you said, they both make mistakes that cause, they get themselves in situations where you're going to get a card from them once in a while. But
Yeah.
for me, I feel like
Yeah.
Louise actually could do the job. And when different things were needed, like if he needed to put a long ball in, he would do that. If he needed to help, with the defense, head things away, he could do that. I don't feel like we didn't get that same kind of performance from Xhaka. So for me, I would rather have had Xhaka rather had Louise than Xhaka if we're talking about having some leadership and somebody who actually can direct. If you put it that way, because for me, you had, we're going to go back to this already. We had Saliba. So if you kept Louise and you kept Saliba, then do you need to go out and get a Ben White? Right? Because now you've got a player that actually fits into your system, who actually has performed in your system, and then you have a younger player that can come up and maybe fill that spot when need be. Right? So I kind of look at it like that. Whereas for me right now, who is Xhaka bringing along to fill that spot? Right now, nobody, right? Nobody can fill that spot based on what we saw in the last match, right? And I don't necessarily mean like the leadership part of it, but I actually mean like when I mean, one of the things we notice is when Tierney bombs up the field, we don't see Sambi go out and take over that position on that wide part there. So obviously that means that whatever Arteta's asked when Xhaka's out there is different when somebody else comes out there, and maybe the team can't handle that. So that's kind of where I look at there, and the Aubameyang and Lacazette kind of being leaderships back in the back on the field and during practice and stuff is all good and well, but we are missing the on-field leadership right now more than anything, right? I mean, during the game, Brighton game, we had multiple times when the players were either out of position or whatnot, and nobody even shouted like, "Look, get in your spot," or "Look,
Yeah,
you're
man.
leaving me hanging," or "Look, let's do this a little bit better next time." Something to improve, so so
That's
they
what we
know
need.
that you left me hanging there. Like, I mean, I mean, I brought this up a couple times, but Curtis Shaw was showing a situation where Milsrif Rowe was, I think, trying to cover from Erdegor, who was just having a bad day. So he was bringing himself more central, leaving the wing, the wide part of the field air open. So then Sambi, doing what he's supposed to do as a defender, comes up and takes over that spot. So now Tierney doesn't have two people against him. But then Milsrif Road leaves the middle kind of open, and then they were able to get an attack. So, and nobody's screaming, saying like Sambi's not screaming like, "I need you to come out and take this wide player so I can get back to my spot." Nobody's rotating, so you've got like I don't know where Erdegor is in this particular part of the game, but that's the part of the leadership that
He's
kind of
getting
helps
back
out
up.
with the way that they're playing, right? And so that's the part that you would want like Aubameyang to be screaming at somebody, right? He's out there pressing a one-man press. And nobody's coming with him. Why isn't he screaming back at his wings, saying, "Come with me," right? Why am I running around like a chicken without his head on
Yeah.
by myself?
It's like he's
Let me-
pressing and he looks behind him and everyone else is sat on a deck chair to reading magazines. And he's like, what the?
And I'm like,
let me,
he's playing. He's got the Spurs game plan in his head. Everybody else has got. We know it's raining. I don't feel like getting wet. I don't want to get. I don't want to. I don't want to do all this running around today. So it was. So like I said, and that's the part that we're missing. We're missing that kind of leadership
Mhm.
right now, and we're missing somebody who can actually do the job and actually make sure everybody else is on the
let me
same page.
let me bring Tony into this. I'm going to gloss over a couple of things. Rohan, we will get to the Newcastle takeover a little bit later. And I think to answer your question, I think Riddy's kind of right here. Neither is winning the league title anytime soon. Maybe a domestic cup or two. But Tony, the current Arsenal team, it needs to find its mojo yet. It needs to find what Gary and Stan are talking about. The leadership needs to come to the fore yet. It needs to have those personalities forged that are going to be leaders in this side. And I think it's going to take a little time yet. I thought that they would come forward naturally, but we're not seeing it so far. As Gary said, a little bit of indecision in that side in terms of what to do when under duress. But the team at the back is holding firm. We did get a draw away from home at Brighton.
Yeah, it's kind of the problem here. We got the leadership in the back. Gabriel's almost 24. He's very vocal. Goes out, yells at player, tells players to get in position. I think in the back we're set, but we don't really have the leadership in the middle. Zaka just doesn't do it in game. I don't know what he does in training that Arteta sees. I think Sambi probably could. He's got some of them leadership qualities. Odegaard got sit up there. We got Lacazette that's not playing, that all the young players look up to, that's influential. You've heard Smith Rowe, Saka talk about Lacazette. We've seen that he links up better with the players than Aubameyang, but Arteta's going to play Aubameyang no matter what. So I think we do have a leadership. It's just Arteta putting the players in position to do it.
Mm-hmm. Gary,
Uh,
in these,
I guess I'm going to disagree because I know we have leaders that they've done it before. They're not doing it with Arsenal. That's the problem that I have is that we have leaders coming in, and we see them vocal with their own with their national teams and whatnot, but not here at Arsenal. We're not, and that's the
what do
problem
you
for
see as the
Arsenal right now.
leaders, Gary?
Who are the leaders
Yeah.
right now with Jock out? No,
I mean,
nobody's taking that mantle. Nobody's
Yeah.
taking it.
Yeah.
I mean, in that game on the weekend, can anybody say who was the leader?
I think I'll go to Stan then, but I think Tony hit on something that the back five, there is some leadership there and there is some communication. Stan?
Where does Thomas Partey fall in this? Because he's not young, he's not old, he's not young, but he's kind of that age, but he still feels like he's a bit new, right? I can imagine him turning up late for team meetings, not because he's arriving late at the pit, at the ground. He still can't find his way to the meeting room yet. He ain't worked out all the corridors and that, He gets lost going to the toilets. So hopefully that's going to be, as he gets, he's going to have to start stepping up, because the role that he plays, and especially with those youngsters, a lot of youngsters behind him, right? He's got White and Gabriel behind him. He's got Ramsdale behind him. I mean, he's got Tomiyasu on his right. I'm not sure what language he speaks in, but again, Tomiyasu looks like he's got a little bit about him. So maybe once they settle in a little bit more, someone like a Tomiyasu, someone like a Partey will start taking more collective responsibility. We know that Tierney does. We know that he's not shy coming forward. Ben White, don't know anything about him, and I've noticed Gabriel as well. He's been quite animated in games. He's been quite communicative, and there seems to be a good relationship between him and Ramsdale. But there doesn't seem to be that one sort of focal point. You'd like to think it would be the captain, right? He doesn't seem that way. It doesn't seem like that's his way, right? So.
I think we have a problem, Stan, in that Aubameyang's not that focal captain on the field. Partey doesn't seem to be that focal captain either in midfield, and we've got a bunch of kids.
Odegaard, right? He's the captain for his nation, right?
Yeah.
Xhaka again, Swiss captain. Anyone else in there as a captain for our national team we got in there? Anyone else?
No, I think that's
is Aubameyang's international as well. I don't know.
For Gabon. Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing is, so Tomiyasu does speak English as well here. Thanks for that.
Oh, okay.
Stan, in the summer, I really wanted us to go out and get that striker. So with getting Tomiyasu, I'm quite happy we nailed down that right back position. But for me, it does lend into what I think Arteta said during the week. This season is going to be a roller coaster. This season is going to be a roller coaster.
He said with
why?
games,
Why?
right?
It's his job to straighten this thing out and flatten out all the bumps.
I'll tell you why, Gary, because we are not going to score enough goals.
It doesn't matter, but he's got to have a plan for it. That's his job.
Yeah.
That's the only job he has, is to make sure
the
this
next
team
4 or
is
5
as
games is a roller
successful as it
coaster
can be.
for the manager,
So
right?
any roller coaster, he's keeping it going as opposed to flattening it out and making this thing run smoothly. Right? That's his job. That's his job.
Arteta's not supposed to be playing roller coaster manager or whatever the hell that game is.
What, Tony?
I said Arteta's not playing roller coaster manager or whatever the hell that computer game is.
But isn't that what it's all about, being a fan? You want to be on a roller coaster. You want to have those highs and lows.
I don't want to be on a roller coaster.
You want consistency,
you want your football to be boring?
We want to be able to pick our 11 every week because we know what it's going to be. They might switch out some bits and pieces of it, but we know how we're going to play, right? Right now, we might have that. We might have at least 5 of those spots settled, right? But we don't know how the rest of it's going to go, and we still don't know. This is a question I had. What is Arteta's style? What is Arsenal's
style of play? That's
style of play. But just kind of what is
style of play?
Yeah.
Slow and boring.
So to me, a style of play is how you combine your players. You don't have a style of play. It's how the players combine together.
You know when you get on a roller coaster, right? Usually when you get on the usual ones, right? You have that really slow climb to the top, don't you? Slowly. And it's quite steep, isn't it? And then you get to the top bit and then it goes, whoosh. Well, we've been doing that bit since Wenger left. We've been on that part of the roller coaster.
White knuckle.
And it's
White
just getting
knuckle.
fucking steeper and
Yeah.
steeper and steeper. And any minute now, I'm hoping that we're going to hit up that other high again. But I just wanted to get on the roller coaster.
Or in my case, I am scared of a roller coaster when I
and
get
sit
on
in
it.
the front
So
car.
when it's ticking up like this, I'm like, why did I even get on this roller coaster? I hate this. I want to get off. That's kind of where I'm at. Is what, like, you might be happy on the way down. You might be like scared on the way down. I'm scared of the anticipation of what's happening, and I'm still there today. I don't know.
Don't you
I
want
don't
to
know what's
watch
on the
the
other
game?
end of that. That when it finally gets to the top and we turn, I don't know what's there. So I'm just like, I'm scared. That's where I'm at right now.
Sorry, that's what football is all about. We turn the TV on or we go to games to be enthused about good play, to be a little bit scared about losing a goal, going a goal down, going 2 goals down, see if we can come back. And Liverpool and City had a roller coaster game at the weekend as well. Every team's on a roller coaster.
I don't think I don't follow what you're talking about.
The emotions within the game, to feel
Well,
the
emotions
emotions.
should be a roller
The highs
coaster.
and
But
the
the game
lows.
should be a roller coaster. Your form should be consistent.
I'm not gonna. I can't even agree or like fight you on this one because I don't
So-
know where you're going.
I'll go to Tony. So
So
Tony,
like,
if
it's
you
supposed to be like a Titanic,
Right.
isn't it? We've got Titanic. Remember that?
Tony, if
Hey,
you
fucking
You know what? Yeah.
rainbows,
So you know
Here
what?
we
This
go.
is the
Here we go with
Titanic.
the
Even though,
Titanic
and we
again.
know about it. We know that this is the Titanic because we've seen this movie and we're like, you know what? This is the Titanic, and we're sitting on the boat. We don't know when we're gonna hit an iceberg, but we always hit icebergs.
So listen, I've been keeping count, right? We've gone from eggs in baskets, right? That was a big one for a while. We were all putting eggs in baskets, right? Then we went airborne. We went airborne, right? We basically had our own airline going on for
Yes.
a month
Yeah.
or so. Then we
Yeah.
went fucking nautical the other week. Everything was under the water or on the water. Now we're at the fucking fun fair with roller coasters. I've been keeping up. I've been writing it all down.
Very good, Stan. Very
Good.
Or
good.
amusement park. Next word I go to the
So
mall.
yeah, the nautical one was us refloating our season with wins over Norwich and Burnley. But anyway, the roller coaster one. I'm going to come to Tony next. Tony, don't you think Chelsea, City, and Liverpool have been consistent?
Yeah. And they
Don't
had
you
real
think-
tough schedules to
Don't
start
you
off.
think Liverpool and City had a roller coaster game at the weekend?
Hold on, Tony. I'm going to go to the toilet, right? But I'm leaving my volume up, and I want to hear a fun fair pun before I get back.
There
Right?
you go.
Don't let us down, right? Me and Gary
All
done
right.
it. Ray done it. I want to hear roller coaster something. fun
Analogy.
fair,
Come
right?
on, Tony.
Over to you, mate.
Hit it,
So what
Tony.
was your question, Ray?
Stan wanted to hear.
We've just
an
been talking
analogy.
about this for like the last 20 minutes. Where you been?
I don't, but he asked
What?
the question.
Listen, everybody in the comment section, there's 10 of you watching right now. Let me know if you want to be on a roller
Chelsea
coaster.
still
as a
won,
fan.
didn't they? Yes,
Wouldn't
a
it
game
be-
can have up and downs, Ray, but you don't say the next 4 or 5 games to be a roller coaster. We're not
I
at
think
the
it's-
fucking amusement park. We don't
He's-
have Torreira anymore. He couldn't make the ride if he was with the team.
Tony, within these 3 games, we're going to come back after.
To
the
me, it's
international
as bad as Zaka saying we're playing scared. Your manager doesn't say the next 4 or 5 games is to be a roller coaster. That says he doesn't believe in his team.
Oh, sorry. I was cheering. I thought that was it. Sorry. Can I play my
break.
leg?
Tony, within these 3 games, Palace at home, Villa at home, 2 games we're going to play at home, Mondays and Friday, and Leicester away. Don't you want to be entertained during these games?
What does that have to do with a fucking roller coaster? Yeah, a roller coaster is entertaining, but you don't want your
There you go.
form to be on a roller coaster. The
As a
games
fan-
aren't roller coasters.
As a fan, I want to be on a roller coaster. I
The
want
sale
to
of
be excited.
fixtures isn't a roller coaster, right? You want consistency. Was the Invincibles a roller coaster? No, you got the same shit week in and week out as a little
No,
factory.
the Invincibles was a roller coaster in the end because you go to that Liverpool game, you're losing 2-0. You come back. and
Invincibles were shit. shooting out Model Ts on the assembly line left and right perfectly. No, we don't want inconsistency. We don't want up and downs in the form. You want consistency, not
Of
a
course.
fucking roller coaster.
Gary, where are you?
You
on
heard
this?
it here. Nobody wants roller coaster, right?
Yeah, okay. I mean, as a fan, I want to turn on.
Yes, you
TV.
want highs and lows of emotion, Ray, not playing.
I don't think anybody's taking a ride on your
You're
roller
fighting a
coaster.
losing
man.
battle, Ray. Give up.
Yeah.
Fighting the losing battle. I mean,
Get on
there's
your
no-
little kitty roller coaster that goes through little logs and all that shit. Or get on a log ride. You need to go on a log ride. Get a little
Gary,
light.
I just think the way we conducted our business in the summer, we fortified a lot of positions in the back and midfield. We didn't do a lot going forward, right? Erdegaard is the only one from Real Madrid.
Basically, we fixed the things that were already fixed.
Yeah.
Why
that
not
not
fix the
make
things that are
things more-
broken?
Does
Why
that
don't we
make-
fix
not
the things
make
that are
more
broken? We can't
another
score.
way?
We got no creativity in the middle. Why not fix that?
Yeah, but how can you not have creativity in the middle with Odegaard and Smith Rowe?
No,
What's
but
the
we
problem?
have very young players. They are not the levels that we're talking about, right?
They're good enough.
They're not good enough because we're not getting enough creativity out of them.
Is it them or the manager?
You want to go there now?
Go there.
You want to go there now?
I think
Is it
Val
them
might
or the
agree with-
manager?
Well, if that's like I said, that if that's we go there, then that's the reason why you let Luis go and spend money on Ben White. I mean, we're wasting our resources. That 50 million could have got War. It could have got Basuma. It could have got, I guess not Basuma anymore, but
Donny.
could have got many a player with that 50 million.
Edward.
Yeah.
I mean, we
Well,
had
Edward, he's
Edward
only
only
scored
cost
those 2
14
goals, and he
million.
hasn't looked great for Crystal Palace.
Chance, right? Give him a chance. It's got to settle that. It's got to settle.
that's another thing, right?
Into
We
the
got to settle
Premiership.
every time, man.
I think Bal agrees with me. If it was that easy to be invincible, it would be done more often. No, take your token, Tony, and enjoy the bloody ride. Okay.
I'll take the token, and I'm like I'm feeling sick. I don't want to feel sick on the ride. I'm already scared, and now I'm feeling sick.
Gary's on the teacup rides going around in
Exactly.
circles.
I'm on the teacup, the tilt-a-whirl, man. Everyone's been on the tilt-a-whirl, and you hit it right at the right moment where you're just like zipping around forever, and all you can see is stars.
All right, listen, I'll tell you all the story about this. I was on the Tilt-A-Whirl, and
Did you
I
puke,
had to-
Ray?
I had to gesture to my wife because I was ready to get sick.
Is that round wheel and you're like
Yeah.
your back stuck to it and it raises up?
Yeah.
Okay.
And she had
No. This is the red one, where it's got like hills and valleys basically on it, and the thing just spins around in circles. But if you hit it at the right spot, you're just going to be zipping around forever.
Okay.
Whereas what you're talking about, you're talking about the one where the floor drops and you're stuck against the wall,
No, that's what makes you stand in it. It's like a round cage. And
and it goes up in the air, right?
And then it goes up like that.
Oh yeah,
It's spinning
And
around.
spins.
not like that, because then you fall out.
No, it's difficult for us.
Does it go 90? It goes 90 degrees. It goes
Yeah, it comes
perpendicular.
up.
It tells.
Right up.
It tells.
Not all the way though. It tilts at an angle, or else you fall out. I know that much.
Centrifugal force. This is
Yeah.
what Arsenal does to you, Gary. So, well, listen.
That's what Ray does to you, thinking fucking a roller coaster is a good thing.
But
You know
listen,
what? Guess the thing about it, when you're on those rides that spins around, what happens when somebody yaks?
Mm.
The person like 10 or 20 spots away from you is like, oh damn, this is not good.
It'll probably come back onto you, right? Onto the person being sick.
If everybody else on the ride is lucky, yes, but most of the time everybody gets a piece of that.
Piece of the action.
So, Stan. Anyway, we're getting off this roller coaster, but I just want to ask you: do we have the mix right going forward? The front four, is that balance right going forward?
Is what? Say again. Is
Balance in the front four going forward, Ray.
Is the
The front
balance of
four.
the front four right going forward?
well, everyone after the Tottenham game was like, "Yay! Don't change nothing." That next game. I mean, I don't think anyone can complain about the lineup in the last game because I think the majority of us wanted exactly that lineup. Wanted Sambi to come in, and he did.
Yep.
And if you remember what I said after we done a show after that North London derby, I said, well, the next game now they can't hide because we've seen it. We've seen it, right? And that's down to the players. You know, when the players cross the white line, it's really out of Mikel Arteta's hands, apart from shouting from the dugout, his technical area. Do you know what I mean? And in the last game against Brighton, we didn't do the things that we were doing in that Tottenham game for whatever reasons. You know, so you know, who do you blame for that? I don't know. How much of that can you actually put on the manager?
Yeah, I think we weren't able to beat the press. You know, they put a high press on us as well, and
we've never seen that before.
But like what Gary was saying, we
time?
pulled out of position in the midfield. You know, as he said, Emil Smith-Rowe was having to drift out of position. Sambi Lokonga was in, and there was nobody sort of like really communicating. You know, like you said, Sambi could have been saying, "Hey, you know, you're leaving that space," but he was kind of like, "Oh, for fuck's sake, I'll go and do it then." But that wasn't fixing the problem. So he was out there probably with the ump, a bit pissed off, but that wasn't fixing the problem. He needed to be able to say, "Hey, I can't stay out here for the fucking rest of the game, mate. You're going to come and help me out so I can get back and do my job." Do you know what I mean? You know, and if you're coming into the middle there, then Martin needs to fucking start doing his job. That's what you need going on in the team. Rather than letting everyone just cover for everyone and you're out of shape, you're out of position. The next thing you know, high ball comes over to them on the left, they're cutting in, and then they're, you know, it's curtains because we're all over the place and people are scrambling now, running backwards to try and cover and get back into positions. We're missing those voices on the pitch. And maybe it's because we're fielding a lot of players that have just come to the club, right? They're probably still trying to find their place. But there's no time for that, you know. If Odegaard's captain at Norway, he starts to need captaining. If our captain ain't going to do it, then someone else needs to step in, right? You can't just go, well, fucking Pierre's not saying much, so fuck it. Well, I better not. You know, he's the captain. I don't want to. If he ain't going to do it, then someone else. And we've seen Tierney do it, right? But, you know, Tierney's not going to have 100, you know, 9, 8, 10 out of 10 games every week. He's going to have bad games. He might have a sore throat one week and can't fucking shout. So it's going to come though. I mean, look at Ramsdale. I mean, fucking compared to fucking Leno, who was basically mute in his fucking box. Do you know what I mean? It's a big improvement. So I think a little bit more patience. Let's see.
Yeah, and if you look at goalkeepers, they're the ones who instigate a lot of the attacks. They're the ones who can see the whole field. And I think Ramsdale has a lot in his locker still that he can be able to direct attacks from the back and be able to communicate.
I even think had Leno been playing, we might have gone undone because he probably would have been continuing to play out from the back every single time because he's trying to, like, please, you know, that's what everyone's saying.
That's what
instead of seeing, well, there's a gap there, I might as well kick it long there. You know, we might have got ourselves into trouble trying to play out from the back. Their press, there's a fumble. Do you know what I mean? We've seen it happen.
And Tony Leno may have stayed on his line as well when that ball came across for Mope.
Yeah, you don't know. He's a pretty good shot stopper. It's his lack of being vocal, lack of leading the troops is his problem.
Yeah, no, I think
last year he had a revolving front four in front of him, and you never knew who was going to be there. But going back to your question, no, the front four isn't the right setup. We've seen when Lacazette came on, he was holding up a ball. We were getting more attacks. Just to me, Bomberang doesn't fit the system. Arteta keeps trying to shoehorn him in there, and it just doesn't work.
So
we're not getting the goals.
There seems to be a concerted effort to move forward without Lacazette being in the team, right?
Yep.
Lacazette potentially could be sold in January, potentially could be sold in the summertime.
Yeah, but to me, I think he's worth that much if you put him on the pitch more than what you'll get in the win or transfer. He's not going to bring much money. You might as well go out there and get what you can while he's here. Play him the rest of the season instead of having him coming out 10, 15 minutes if he even gets into a game.
Gary, to Tony's point, do you think Aubameyang should be persisted with tough away games? Because
Well, I
he
mean, I
doesn't
think it
seem
should
to
be
turn
games
up
where
in
he
away
can.
games.
Part of it is, does he fit the system that you want to run against whatever your opponent is? If he does, then so be it. I mean, everybody. I mean, I didn't really see it, but most people were saying, in this type of game against Brighton, we're probably going to need somebody to be able to hold up the ball a little because they're pretty sound in their defensive structure, and we need to be able to have somebody who can do that. Right? That's what a lot of people were saying, and Aubameyang doesn't do that. Right? And when you bring in Lacazette and he's able to do it, it looks like it's good. But I mean, we don't know how that game would have started if Lacazette was there, but that's what it needed. That's what the game needed. And for me, why does he have to wait until the 60th minute to bring in anybody? Why can't he just do that at halftime? The game, you're not getting anything from your front four much in that game.
No.
Not enough to say that you've got a little handle on it. Erdegaard was just really poor for 45 minutes. Was he going to get better in the second half after you talked
No.
to him?
No.
Probably not. That game, he was lost in that game. Sometimes you gotta save a man from himself, right? He needs to go, get him out of there, let him think about this, and come back another day. Today is just not your day, and that's what happened. I mean, Aubameyang and Erdegaard, they needed to go. They needed to come out of that match. It just wasn't working for them that day, right? Who makes that call?
Brady said problem with our strike is that they are not suited to start against different opponents'
I
styles.
believe that.
That's not true because that's what we're saying. We just said that Lacazette came in and everything looked better. And why did I don't think Brighton changed what they were doing because Lacazette came on. I think Lacazette actually has a specific trait that works better. That is something that Aubameyang can't do.
Each of them clearly does something different. Clearly, Aubameyang is that player, gets on the end of long balls forward. Lacazette's the player who will come short and knit the play together. I think we're just persisting, Stan, with Aubameyang, and it might be, horses for courses. I believe in that a lot, and Lacazette could be important in some fixtures, while Aubameyang could be important in others. And Arteta needs to maybe identify that in order for us to maximize and squeeze the most amount of points out of this season.
See, I have to be careful what I say, right? Because I know Rohan's in the house, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
He's wrapped up in his
Aubameyang.
very cover.
if I go in on the Aubameyang, man, he's going to be taking notes, right? But
You'll have a subpoena.
I know there was a lot of people that have this opinion that Aubameyang doesn't suit the system. The system doesn't suit Aubameyang. I don't buy it. I don't subscribe to that. From what I've seen, for me, Aubameyang just looks wasteful in front of goal. I've seen him getting into good positions, and I've seen him just have poor finishing, a poor first touch. I mean, I've not been keeping count, but I mean, if there's a way to look back at his misses and go back over his seasons, it's increased for me. And you've seen sparks of the older Aubameyang in other games this season. You've seen it.
Yeah.
Saw it at West Bromwich Albion. Saw it at Tottenham. And then other games, he goes back again with that body language where he looks like he's got the world on his shoulders again. And I don't know what's going on there with him. I thought that he'd woken up, that he'd got his fight back or his mojo. But
yeah.
I see with Aubameyang, it's one of two things: he's either out crossing the ball into the middle, which I'm thinking to myself, why are we paying him like 350 bags a week to be putting the ball in the box? We should be paying him to be on the end of it. And then when he is in the box and he gets good chances, he's been very wasteful. So personally, if I had my way and this was fantasy football, and this is what I do in FIFA, I'd get rid of both Lacazette and Aubameyang very quickly at the beginning of my career mode. I'd just start again. And I usually get rid of Aubameyang first, only because his stats drop before January. And then Lacazette is usually quickly out of the door as well. And that's what I would like to do. I'd like to, I'd like to, if I had my way, I'd like to rip up our forward line and start again.
Well, Tony said Rohan Verdi is wrapped up in his Oba duvet cover right now. Stan, who would you, hypothetical, at Man United at Old Trafford, who would you play up front, a Lacazette or Aubameyang?
I'd stick with Aubameyang.
Yeah, I mean, we're basically talking about two strikers that didn't do the same
He's the
thing.
captain. He's paid 350 bags a week. He's been a Golden Boot winner. You have to. I mean, what else can you do? Do you know what I mean? I just think that you have to like persevere with it a little bit. I don't know if it's going to yield the results. I don't think Lacazette is the answer. For me, he's good in little bursts, but I don't think he's someone that you can count on as your main focal point. I actually think that about both of them now, to be honest.
Tony, we are 7 league games into the season, approximately very close to 20%, 1/5 of the season gone. We have 10 points. You extrapolate that, like I like to do, we're going to end up with 50 points. So we need to we need to get some more points as we go along here in the next few games.
Yeah,
and another block of 10 from these 4 games will do very, very well.
Yeah, we should have picked up 3 points for first game. Should have been up for that game. We got a fairly easy schedule coming up. These are games we should win. They're must-win games. To me, we got to beat all the bottom half and kind of middle-tier teams. We got to be getting those wins. If you want to struggle to be against the top teams, that's fine. But we need to beat the teams coming up.
And the next 4 games will bring us up to the end of October. I know you've talked about that landmark as being 11 games. So do we need to go another 10 points or something close to that, 9 or 10 points in these block of 4 games?
Yeah, it should be at least 9. If you look at that just quickly, you think there's 9 points there. Easy.
Yeah,
Should be.
Palace is going to be a big one. The first one we come back from the international break. And
we're at home, right? At 3 or 4 of these games.
3 or 4 of these games are at home, Gary.
Yeah, no, I mean, yeah, we should be. Personally, we need to win all of them, right?
Yep.
I mean, the goal is not necessarily. Yeah, we need to get all 12 points. So, I guess 11, 10 would be the once again 10 would be the bare minimum that we need.
Yeah,
optimal. But we need to get all 12 points. We need to we need to make up for some of the games early in the season and win some that we're not supposed to, because we're going to have some tough games again once we go and get it. Once we get back from I guess is it November when we start picking up some tough games in November?
Yeah,
in December. In November, yeah.
In November, it's going to be Liverpool. Right after Watford, it's going to be Liverpool, Newcastle at home, Man United away, Everton away. I'll show you that right here.
So, well, at least we play Newcastle before they get into the January window and buy Haaland and Mbappe.
So yeah, Newcastle in November.
They'll still be kind of shit when we play them.
Yeah,
that's a tough schedule there. Liverpool away, Manchester United away, Everton away, Southampton away. Won't be easy either, So these next 4 games are going to be games in which we need to pick up at least 8 or 9 points, I would say. But want to talk about the Newcastle takeover now? Stan, this is a side that's close to your heart, your heritage.
It is. I'm quite pleased. I mean, as you know, my great grandfather and my great uncle both played for Newcastle. So technically, technically, you know, I'm from the tune. You know, right there, Pierre. I can't do
Good
the
tune.
voice, but I'm well. Obviously, I see a lot of people. I suppose the Newcastle fans are really happy, right? They've had years of misery up there under Mark Ashley. It's been terrible for them up there. But there's a lot of people that are like, well, there's a lot of human rights problems in all of that. I don't know the details. I know that there's human rights in various places of the world. I'm not an expert on it at all. Um, but I mean, I would say that I don't think, maybe there's a couple out there, but I don't know. Can you be a billionaire and be totally clean? You must have trodden on some toes somewhere along the line in order to get where you are. I mean, you have to
Yeah.
look at. I mean, look at our billionaires. They have a channel on a cable which is all about trophy hunting. Wild animals and shit. There's a lot of people that hold animal rights and stuff like that very close and dear to them,
Hmm.
as do some people about human rights. Some people are more into the animals than they are people. We're all different, right? So, I mean, if it was happening to us, I mean, I'd have some of that. I think we're at the stage now where, if you want to beat them, you've got to join them
Yeah.
in a
It's
way.
unfortunate that sports.
Is Daniel Ek okay because he's the right kind of billionaire? What does that mean? I mean, all we know about him is that he's the owner of Spotify. What else do we really know about him? I don't know.
Yeah, but he kind of, he's got like I said, everybody's got skeletons, whether they're big, small,
Yeah,
whatever. They all got something in there, and some would say
There's a
that
difference between a mouse
egg
skeleton and a Stegosaurus skeleton.
I get, like I said, I didn't say they are equal. I said they all have something that other people are not too proud about, right? So like Eck, there's probably a lot
You
of
can always find
musicians.
something to bitch about,
There's,
Gary, but
no,
that
well,
doesn't
so
mean
then
they're
what's the so then
comparable at all.
so then it doesn't matter. Is what you're trying to say, and I'm trying to tell you that it's all relative and it's all different levels. Some people will stomach enough and say, you know what, all right, I'm
Mhm.
fine with that, right? And then they're like, no, I'm not fine with that, and that's to each its own, right? You get to
Yeah,
decide that
but
as
we
a
had
human.
all these fans throwing big temper tantrums over the breakaway European Super League,
Yeah.
which would just been a replacement for the Champions League, talking about greed and all that. And look at this wonderful, if I can get it here,
Yeah.
all that black is Lasati money. We're
Obviously,
fourth,
you
that
know
little
what?
red
Obviously, the
sliver
Super League
there.
is a bigger deal to more people than who's owning Newcastle, because right now that went through, it's gone through, and nobody was protesting. No other teams were sitting out there complaining about it enough to stop it, and it went through. Right,
I
right.
hear
I
that.
mean, so I mean, it's like I said, it's not. I'm not saying it's the right thing to do. I'm just saying that it wasn't, in terms of the football world. People weren't concerned about it that much. If they were, they would have stood up just like they did for the Super League, right? Super League came about, the entire football world was up in arms. Nope, we don't want that. Everybody,
Yeah,
right?
and to me, I was the one that said, yeah, if all your neighbors are building on garages and you're not, your house ain't to have the same value. So yeah, you're gonna go ahead and break away with the other
Yeah.
top teams. I didn't see any problems with that.
Yeah.
I'm
Well, like I said,
one of the
it's all
minorities there.
you just. I mean, the you just look out across the football universe, and you can see whether people are really that as concerned as they thought. As you believe they are. They're not.
And that's like Southgate saying this week that eventually they'll address Qatar and the World Cup. Why not do it now? Why put it off? Why not have the
Address?
players?
What does that mean? What do you mean
Yeah, they're
address?
going to qualify first, and
Bit
then they're
late,
going to
innit?
think about what.
Fucking happening, isn't it? What's he gonna do? Write a fucking strongly worded letter?
I'm going to
T-shirts.
qualify for it,
Yeah.
and then I'm going to say no, 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 bad, bad Qatar. No, what do you mean? What does that
Bit late
mean?
for all that.
Why even bring it up now? Just keep your mouth shut. If you don't have anything to say
Riggy
about it,
said, Gary went through because our government gave the green light. End of story.
I don't
I
know.
heard
I'm
that
not sure. Yeah.
these people that are buying Newcastle are also going to buy Inter Milan as well. They're looking to buy Inter Milan as well. And I'm going to call it now. I reckon Alexis Sanchez will go there on a free. And that will be the start of them bringing in big names until they get the money in and they can start bringing in the rest of the players. But I reckon he's going to end up going there on a free transfer. Alexis Sanchez
To
to Newcastle.
Newcastle.
Yeah. I can feel it. Feel it. To start the profile off, right? They can get him in quick. Right? Everything's, it's the start of it, right?
Do you think, Stan, that eventually something will be done? Some kind of control, some kind of salary cap will be instituted into the Premier League to stop all this spending, stop a PSG happening.
How do you put the genie back into the bottle? I mean, the salaries already, you look at certain players' salaries. What do? You say, okay, we put football players now into 3 categories. Shit, okay, excellent. Do you know what I mean? And if you're in that bracket, you can only earn between this and that. If you're in that, I mean, how does it work? But the way, I mean, it's easy for me to say because I don't operate in the sort of money that these players earn. But you'd think that if you're a footballer and that's what you've been doing all of your life, whether you're playing in the fucking Championship, the Premier League, or in La Liga, and they say, right, a footballer can now only earn up to 80 grand a week or 60 grand a week, whatever it may be. I'm just pulling figures out of here. What are you going to do? Get the ump, so I'm not playing football anymore, and then go and get a job as a fucking baker? They're going to continue playing football, aren't they?
Or maybe not have a salary cap, but more of an expenditure cap that a club can spend.
Well, we've tried all that with this FFP, and there's still people finding these loopholes when you have these like how it is at City, right? They have all these offshoot companies that can then turn up and say, we'd like to sponsor you. And then, rather than paying them 60 grand for the sponsorship, they'll give them like 10 million. Something stupid because it's like a loophole, right? So the money's all coming out of the same pockets, really. So it doesn't really work. I don't see how it's difficult to put genies back into bottles. It is the way it is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. I
mean, look at. I mean, you probably remember this, right? Do you remember when the football players used to get like buttons? It was Jimmy Hill that broke the ground. Remember, Jimmy Hill? He's the one that broke the ground on expanding players. What they got in their bonuses and stuff like that. I mean, there's a player, right? And I can't remember his name. He's like Eastern European. He was like, he had something like, he was getting like something like 40 grand a week, but his goal bonus was like 200 grand. His goal bonus was 200 grand. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm,
so there's ways around it.
Ways and
means. What they value you at, right? They probably had a salary cap, or they were probably somewhere where it was a place where a huge expenditure would look good. So they shoved it in a goal bonus of over 200 grand. It's like 215 grand a goal. Imagine getting a hat trick. Fucking hell.
Vargas said rather the footballers be paid than another Raul type administrator. Yeah. So
I mean, I think it's also a little difficult to do to manage, because we're not talking about one country doing it. So if anybody ever brings up the U.S. model, it's because it's one country, right? It's the same.
Yeah, but it varies across the U.S. sports too.
No, but I mean, it's one country though. We're talking about England handling their football one way, France doing it one way, Italy doing it its way, Germany. All of these countries managing their football leagues one way, and then saying, you know what, but my players can go anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
How do we manage that so that everybody gets an equal?
Where's
the parity? How do you get the parity with that?
And you copy what the NBA does. They have a minimum.
How do you do that when you're talking about different countries with different
revenue.
financial statuses? Right? How do you do that?
Yeah, and if you don't have that parity, you have players who want to leave the Premier League and go to La Liga, for instance. or
You just
financially.
implement it UEFA wide, do it by your revenue, have a minimum and maximum cap. The NBA has 8 of the 10 highest paid players in sports because they have a real powerful union because they do split the revenue up good.
But I mean, that just means everybody would be going to the Premier League because that's where all the money is, right?
I mean, football's probably the only profession, probably in sports or in any walk of life, where you still talk about how much you get per week. Who the fuck else talks about what they get a week? You talk about what you get a year, right? Or maybe what you get a month. I get X a month. My net is this. My gross is that. And do you know why we talk about footballers getting? Why we do it? The reason for it. It's to try and take us back to the time of when football was a working man's sport, working man, playing for your local armory or mill or factory. And, you're leaving on a Friday with your flat cap on and you've got your little weekly wage in a brown envelope with your 10 shillings or whatever. But it's ridiculous because now we're not talking about 10 shillings. We're talking like 350 grand a week. You're like, what? I mean, the working man he can't equate to that.
Well, and that's where we talk about the ownership of the club and the stewardship and all this stuff. It doesn't make it. It's not true anymore. You got owners that don't even know anything about their squad, right? They don't know anything about their team, the colors, whatever. They don't even come and watch them play, right? I mean, that's where you're at. It went from being
There's
clubs,
just a piece on the Monopoly board, Gary.
yeah, it went to be a club to now. Yeah, you're right. It's a card. Somebody landed on it, paid the money, started building hotels on it. That's where they are right now.
The days of owners like Jack Walker at Blackburn,
Yeah.
being a local man that owns a local business that's thriving, he might be selling toilet rolls or carpets, and then he takes over the local team and puts. Them days are gone. I think that's just a model that you're never really going to see that again now. It's all going to be consortiums coming in, groups of people coming in to take over clubs. It's just the way of the world now. It's just the way that it is. It's Arsenal is part of the Kroenke's business and real estate portfolio. And I've always felt that the reason that they're going to hang on to their stake at Arsenal and why people like Daniel Ek would have to pay extraordinary money to even get the Kroenke to think about it. It's not because they own Arsenal Football Club. I believe it's because they own a prime chunk of real estate in London.
Yeah.
That's what it's about. It's about the land that the club is sitting on, and they're very much land people. I mean, Kroenke owns a ranch, right? That's bigger than fucking Birmingham. I mean, do you know what I mean? You go out for a walk in the garden, you could get lost. Days. Do you know what I mean? You have to send out helicopters.
Wait, how big is Birmingham?
It's a city.
No, but how big is it? Because I thought the ranch was a lot bigger than that.
It's a lot of acres.
Bigger than Birmingham. I mean, Birmingham's how big? Would you say Birmingham? Quite a big place, right?
Because think about it. He's one of the biggest landowners, like in one of the top 10 or something like that in the world, I believe, or something like that. So when you say Birmingham, I'm trying to figure out how big. Is it bigger than LA County? Because LA County is really big.
LA County is.
So like, I believe it's
amount of acres. I know.
Yeah, I believe it's really large. So I didn't like. Is Birmingham bigger than London?
No.
Okay.
In the London, probably not much, probably the same. But you have to remember, we're British, Gary. Like for us, a 3-hour drive. Like when I hear people like say, I'm going to go and see my sister, it's like a 5-hour drive. I'm like, fuck that. For us, like, a journey's like 40 minutes. That's like a long journey. Yep. Driving from it for 40 minutes. You guys drive for like 10 hours, man.
Yeah, well,
you're not even out of the state yet. You're still in the same state.
People commute like 2 hours just to get to work, man.
If we did that in England, we'd end up in the fucking sea if we started driving for 10 hours.
Yeah.
You can do one end of the country in what, 3.5, 4 hours?
Yeah, see, he owns. Yeah, I'm just looking this up. He owns 1.4 million acres of land in the United States, and like
his ranch is 535,000 acres.
Well, this says 124 acres in Montana.
535 is W1 Wagner Ranch in Texas.
Okay, so wow, yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
Either way. Brady said he was going to miss Steve Bruce and his pressers, him enjoying biscuits and Northern Ale. So, if this takeover goes ahead, I don't see
Well,
Steve
it's got
Bruce.
it's over, right? Isn't it
They pretty
close?
much
Then?
already said he's gone. So.
It's close. Oh, okay.
What, he's already left?
Not yet, but it's happened pretty much as soon as they.
Brady lives in Brummie. It's not as big as London, but the traffic is worse than London. And Bargav thinks Conte is coming in soon. So Conte.
Tell me something. I mean, what is like Newcastle? If I looked it up on the map because I wanted to see where it is. It's
Northeast.
close. It's really close to Scotland.
Yeah.
Really, really close. And I'm like, so who really wants to go to Newcastle?
It's a really big city. I've never been there, Gary. It's one of the only places in the UK that I've never been to, but I've known lots of people from there. It's a really vibrant city. I've heard, when you live in England, one of the things that you always hear is it's a really good night out. If you go up there for a weekend, people really enjoy themselves, and it's one of those places that accent of the Geordies, it can sound quite aggressive. But they're one of the friendliest lot. If you go up there, they hear that you're from out of town. They really go out of their way to make you feel welcome. And I've also heard that the females are pretty friendly as well up that way. So you get a lot of people that if they're going to go out for what you'd call a bachelor thing, Newcastle's quite a big destination. It's a really popular city, and it's it's got good nightlife. Obviously, it's not London, but it's quite. I think the word that they would use is it's buzzing up there. It's happening.
The thing that concerns me a little bit about that is for how long. All the things you just described. For how long will it be like that? You're gonna have basically millions and millions of dollars, millions and millions of pounds going into that city. How long until they push the locals out because because that's what happens, right? Money gets into a city and it changes the things that you loved about it. It's not the same anymore, and that's the thing that you don't want to lose.
I think they'll
That's
have
what we're
trouble
talking
with that because Newcastle is very, even though it's a city, it's got a very much a community kind of a vibe with it. And you see what we like at Arsenal, right? We do a lot of things in and around the local area of the ground. I mean, you would think that these people that are coming in would have advisors. I saw a bit of an interview today, and it wasn't one of the Qatari royal family. It was an English woman. She must be their mouthpiece or something like that. You think that they're gonna want to come in and keep everybody smiling, and fuck, man, it's going to be interesting to see who they go in for.
I'm going to say I hope so because I hope so. Hope that's right. I hope that's true. That happens because we didn't see it with Arsenal. I don't think the owners of Arsenal looked at Arsenal and tried to figure out, why, what makes a Gooner, why the fans come to the stadium, what is the history of Arsenal, all of those types of things, so they understand a lot more about what they just purchased, right? And then when they go out into the stands and they're talking to the fans, they're like, this person has an interest in this club. They're not, like you said, that didn't happen. So hopefully you're right about that's what they're going to do because then once again it's another club with history, steeped in history that then kind of starts to dissolve away because the owners don't really care.
The other thing as well with the new club, it doesn't always mean they're going to be great right out of the gate. They have to do the right things as a business, target the right players. I mean, I think we saw City do a lot of that in the last 15 years. They've brought
when they bought Robinho, do you remember? That was like the start.
It didn't quite gel for them. They had Mark Hughes. They have to go through a few managers. So everyone thinking Newcastle are going to be the new City. They're going to be new PSG. I mean, football has become a business now. You have to make the right business choices.
It will happen for them though, because they can afford. When you're in that position, like City, you can afford the big mistakes, right? That's the thing. If you
Yeah.
buy someone and it don't work out or whatever, to someone like that, it don't matter. You just go and buy another one.
But that's going to
Whereas
take
us,
time,
we have to
Stan.
fucking stick with them. We have to try and persevere.
What time are you talking about? Where is this? What time?
If
What's
you make a mistake, Gary, that's going to cost you a season. If you bring the wrong players in, that's going to cost you a season. If you do it the next season, it's going to cost you another season. That's time, right?
that's why you just go out and get the best players you got. The trick is whether they want to come or not.
Yeah, but as we said with Robinho, you bring Robinho in, it didn't quite gel with Mark Hughes, didn't quite gel Manchester City. They were the noisy neighbors at first until they they got to a point where they were targeting the right players. They brought in the right mix of players. They got the right manager, Pellegrini, and then Pep. So and they
No,
still haven't
that's the key. It doesn't really matter who you
Mancini.
bring in if you don't have the right chef,
Mancini.
right? Taking all
And
the
they
pieces.
still
to
haven't
get
won
best
the
of it.
Champions League. The holy grail for them, Gary, for City is to win that Champions League, and they still haven't done it. All the money they have, Tony.
As I go back to Stan's comment on Birmingham, Stan's ranch is 9 times the size of Birmingham.
Why would you do that to me,
Birmingham,
Tony?
66,000 acres.
Why?
Ranch is
First of all, why would
Looks
you do that to me on air? I thought
pretty
you were
smug, huh?
man.
He looks
Supposed
pretty
to cover
smug,
for me.
man.
You're supposed to cover for me, not out me on air.
Fact checker.
his
He
ranch
would've
is
told
9
you
times
what
the
ate
size.
the size.
Anyone, man. Jesus, man. I feel like Caesar with the fucking knives
That was
in the back.
cold. That was cold.
Infamy. They will put it infamy.
Yeah, it was cold. So listen, Newcastle, new kids on the block, but it doesn't mean they're going to be instantly the best kids on the block. We got the memes of Mbappe turning up at Newcastle.
Can you imagine their winter window, though?
Yeah,
I'm just waiting for the Mbappe, the old, see him sat there in his bedroom with a Newcastle shirt on, talking about how he loved watching Bobby Robson when he was like a fucking kid, and do you know
David Ginola.
Yeah, he's always loved the Geordies, and that can't
Some
wait.
of the French players
Newcastle.
like David Ginola growing up. Yeah, Gary, to your point, who's going to go to Newcastle? I mean, the money will bring the players there. The wages they're going to be able to pay. So yeah.
Man, like I said, hopefully that's what they're using. That's what they're going to do. Hopefully it's not the case of it's just a means to make a quick buck here. I don't know. It seems like a weird. It seems like a weird purchase. That's all, because it doesn't have like somebody was saying. If they just went to Stan Kroenke and said, "Here's $3 billion," would he accept it? If they said, "Here's $4 billion," would he accept it?
They're going to tap into a huge fan base, a huge loyal fan base. They're going to be able to fill. Not that it's going to make a difference to them. They're going to be able to fill the stadium twice over if they need to.
Yeah, but is it as big as? Is it as big as? Am I? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we're laughing about the Andy Carroll.
No, I'm saying is it as big as but is it does it have the growth potential of like an Arsenal?
It's got the fan base, so yeah,
The fan base where the fan base in the world? Or the fan base of the fan base
there'll be a lot of people jumping on the wagon, man. I'm telling you. You wait and see.
I'm just saying we're talking about you're gonna like I'm looking at Arsenal, I'm looking at Newcastle. I'm saying we're talking about the growth potential. You're in London. You've got a bigger fan base in the world, a bigger draw in the world right now, and maybe Newcastle will catch up, but it's going to take a while. That's decades in the making.
You seen what happened to PSG and Manchester City in no time?
As someone said earlier, I just feel sorry for all those Chelsea fans who then have to go out and buy Man City fans, and now they've got to go out and pay more money for a Newcastle fucking shirt. You know what I mean? From Chelsea to Man City to Newcastle. They're the same people. There's going to be a lot of people that will be, jumping onto the bandwagon of Newcastle because they got the big money. There's going to be a lot of youngsters that are coming into watching football that will probably be drawn towards that now because it's It's the closest thing you've got to a football manager side now.
Yeah. Well, I guess like you said, we'll see how this thing goes. If it is, if this is truly the start of
Another city.
football monopoly or not.
Yeah, another Manchester City in the
Yep,
northeast.
about 10
How much
times the
did they
money
pay
that
for
City
Newcastle?
has.
I haven't seen that. What did they pay for it in the end?
I thought I heard really,
I'll be right back.
a really low amount is what I thought I saw.
Less than $1 billion or what?
Yeah, like 500 million or something like
500.
that.
Okay. Yeah, 500 million. Yeah. Okay.
I think that's what I saw. I don't know. If I'm selling Newcastle, I'm not selling it for.
Maybe like the owners, right? They know so little about football, they're actually trying to send someone out to sign this great manager that they've heard about called Ted Lasso that everyone's talking about. We must get that Ted Lasso guy. Everyone is talking about. It's like he's not real, mate. It's a TV show. But yeah, I love what Rudy says. I can just imagine Mbappe sitting there in interviews talking about how he modelled his game on Andy Carroll. He watched the video. Yeah, I used to watch the videos and that and watch. That's when he wasn't injured, of course, when he was actually playing. He turns up with a bun on his head, one of them man buns that Andy Carroll used to have as well, Mbappe.
Yeah.
But fair play to him, I think. I kind of think fair play to them. It is what it is. It seems to be just the way the world is moving, And if you're going to be woke FC or moral FC, that's all well and good, and each to their own. But you're going to get left behind. So I don't know. You content with just
it's a tough one for sure. It's a really, 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 really. It's really tough.
I'd love it to happen to us. I would. Mm-hmm. I mean, at this rate, Joe Willock is probably going to win the league and the Champions League before Arsenal do.
Yeah. I mean,
Willock can't believe his luck, can he? So he'd be like, "Here I am, assisting to Mbappe." I mean, what a life!
as long as he can maintain his, his position in the team. But yeah. Listen, so Gary, would you like that to happen to Arsenal?
I don't know.
It's a very it's going to divide the fan base again, and that kind of thing would.
I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I don't think that's what Arsenal needs. They don't need somebody with gobs of money, right? They really don't. I mean, right now, even if this is the model that they wanted to go with, they just needed somebody who cared about the team and where they're going. Right? That's what we've always said. Right? Yes, they want people to spend money, but they don't need those gobs of money to at least compete.
What frightens me the most about this is like, let's say in a couple of weeks' time, someone like Conte goes to Newcastle, and then let's say like maybe 3 or 4 weeks after that, our results are so bad or something goes down where they have to get rid of Arteta, and then we're like, fuck, if only we'd fucking been maybe a little bit more decisive, we may have been able to have nipped in and got the manager before Newcastle do, because we were in that situation, weren't we, with Pep and Klopp, who both kind of said that they were like they were kind of like, they liked Arsenal, but we didn't pull the trigger. We stayed with what we were doing. And they got gobbled up. So,
yeah. Well, I mean, the thing about that is there are a lot of young managers that are worthy as well. They don't want to. I know they don't want to come, but probably Klopp didn't want to come, and Pep didn't want to come. When they were at those same ages, but they're there now, right? And if you can get one of those young coaches out there, and in those that are up and coming, before they get too big and go to the big team in their nation, that's the trick as well, right? Because there are managers out there that they can pick up right now that are coaching in some smaller, in what we consider a lower league, domestic league, but are worthy. We don't have the right people to make that decision. And that's been your question all along, Stan. Who's making that decision? right? If you're looking at Arsenal long term, is Arteta actually meeting the goals? And if he isn't, should he be
I'm gonna
let go? Right?
I'm gonna upset
Don't
Gary
sound
and
like he's
Tony
got
here.
goals. And it don't sound like he's got goals. From what Edu said in his interview, he doesn't care where we
Oh, they're
finish.
just going to get to play 11 guys playing on the pitch
Yeah.
together.
Doesn't
Yeah,
sound
but
like he's
last
got
year
goals.
their goal was top 4. Now we have no goal.
Well, Arteta's goal was to win the league, right, in 3 years or compete or whatever it was, right? That's what he told. That's what he sold to one of his players, right?
I was William. He was
Yeah.
desperate to get William across the line. Yeah.
So he lied to
So,
him, right? Basically, he lied to him.
no, he
No, he lied. He lied.
sold the vision. He sold the vision. He was a
That's
salesman.
yeah, he lied. He was a used car salesman. You
Put your
came in.
rainbow
He
paintbrush
said, "You know what?
down,
This
right?
is a Ferrari," and you're looking at it. You're like, "But
That's like me
but it's got a
sending.
trunk on it." Yeah,
That's
no,
like
it's a
me.
Yeah.
Ferrari.
That's
No,
like
it's
me
got a
sending
bed. Like
flowers and chocolates to
I can
Susan
put
Boyle.
lumber on it. You don't know. This is a Ferrari. What can I do to get you in this Ferrari today? But like,
What
it's
were
a
you
truck.
ask me and Gary,
What's
right?
it gonna take? What's it gonna take?
Him bringing
What
in
were you
him,
gonna
him
ask us?
wooing Willian the way he did and all that. That's like me sending like every week sending flowers and chocolates to Susan Boyle and saying like I really want to take you out. I really want to take you out. And she's playing hardball with me. Do you know
Well,
what I mean?
what a voice! What a voice, Stan! What a
Oh
voice.
yeah, voice of an angel. Face, you know.
Is there anything else either of
And
you,
another girl.
either of you three, want to throw out for discussion, or we'll just close it out here?
Yeah, there is another subject doing the rounds, isn't there? There's a little bit of a situation going on at Brighton, and it looks like that we may have
Yeah.
dodged a bullet by not signing someone who I was actually somebody that I was really keen to sign. Now, obviously, if there's any legal people listening, this conversation is all allegedly.
Allegedly is the word. Allegedly, right?
But from the reports, I've been hearing that it is Yves Bissouma that has been arrested at Brighton for some kind of sexual misconduct of some kind. And as I tweeted out earlier, man, Prison FC, they seem to be building now one hell of a squad. They've got Mendy in there, they've got Gylfi Sigurdsson in there. But I'm not sure if it's been 100% confirmed it's Bissouma, but I've seen people saying that it is now, that it is. So I don't know what you guys think about that. Not only was it someone, if it, allegedly, if it is Bissouma, someone that we're looking at, but also just like the wider implications of what the fuck are going on with these people, Is it a case like I always remember when I was a bit younger watching this after news program, and they were talking about this sheltered housing, and it was just being opened, and I think it was Prince Edward. Remember the younger prince? He was there to open it to represent the royal family, and they were showing him these apartments in these sheltered housing, and he was befuddled when he came across a dishwasher. He didn't know what it was, what it did. He had no idea, because why the fuck would he? He's Prince Edward. He don't have to fucking wash his plates up. And sometimes I think some of these footballers, where they've gone in at a very young age, they've been signed to a club at a young age, they've only been in that bubble, and it's not like the 70s or the 80s where you have to clean boots, scrub somebody else's boots that's above you. You pay your dues. It's a little bit different now. Things are done for you, right? All your laundry's done for you. You're wrapped up in a cotton ball. You hand your passport over to the club. You don't really have your passport. Every time you go away with the club, they do all the checking in at the airport. You're basically, even though you're an adult and you may be an athlete, you've not had a lot of life skills. You've not been out there. Do you know what I mean? You've been wrapped up in the club. And sometimes I think that might be the problem with some of these footballers, that they believe they start fucking smelling their own farts and reading their own headlines. They believe that they're fucking above the law. They think that they're never going to get into any trouble. And I don't know what you guys think about this. I just think it's like, I'm just like, what the fuck is going on here?
You've talked about footballers cleaning boots, and Kevin Campbell talks about doing that. He was an apprentice. He was an academy player, and he had to clean boots of the first team players. I don't think it's a bad way to start out and to learn. Again, back then when Arsenal had proper traditions and history and the right way of doing things, whatever that is. But you're right. It sets the standard. Um, I think Gary. I think footballers have too much, too soon, too early, and they're paid too well.
Well, it starts with the pay too well part because you now, if somebody's going to go out and, for example, like pay as much money as they have paid for like a Jadon Sancho, why does he? Why would he even think that I'm coming into United? Why am I carrying anybody's boots? You see how much I'm worth? United spent a lot of money just to get me here. I don't. I'm not carrying your boots. You should be carrying my boots. I'm here to save you.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
sometimes the mentality of some of the players. And it would actually it kind of like makes sense if a team is going to willing to spend that much money on you, then they must expect a lot out of you. Trick is, do you expect the same out of yourself, or are you just happy to get the paycheck every week? And that's where that's where it goes. And and to some degree, like some leagues manage that a little bit better. They don't, you have to have a certain number of years in before you get paid the big money because they realize it taints the sport a little bit. And you've got the young players making as much as the older players. Um, so yeah, it all starts with the money, and then it goes downhill from there. Basically, that's what you're seeing happens in every sport, right? I mean, you've got some sports. I mean, think about it. If you're good enough and you're 18, you can get you paid a lot of money, right? How that's I mean because like Pulisic, young player, right? Coming out, boom, making tons of money now. Not too many players are in that situation. So yeah, no, I think
This is
it is it's it's where the sport is, but it is the bad part about how
yeah.
things are because there's no levels to like getting to be that top player. I mean,
You get there if you get there too quickly, the silver spoon is given too quickly. Tony, recruitment is so important, not just as Gary said, talent wise, but you also have to try to recruit the right type of young player, the one who's going to be wants to work hard, the one who has humility, the one who's not going to go to a nightclub and do things that are going to get him potentially, allegedly, in trouble.
And that's why you have somebody like Klopp that kind of interviews with players when they're considering them, seeing their character, looking at them, instead of just splashing out the cash. To me, all these players are self entitled. I was hoping COVID would end all these big money transfers, but now we've seen them happen this summer where agents get 20%, where they're ending up with the agents 15 to 20 million pounds just for a transfer when all they have to do is fill out some legal work and basically fucking do nothing. I would love, love, love
Three loves.
Three Loves to be Lukaku's agent with 5 big transfers. Imagine the money that guy's made. He's probably made 100 million
Yeah,
pounds.
that's the job of the agent as well to do that to get the best deal for your client. You're getting the best deal for yourself.
Yeah, but it should be out of football by now.
Lombard Council, Prison FC is stacked. Would defo get top six. Adam Johnson, there's another name from a few
Yeah,
years
Adam
back as
Johnson's in
well.
there.
So yeah, you could probably field an 11 just from that.
I remember when we first signed Nicola Pepe, and I remember seeing a picture of him driving into training, and the picture it was no longer than a couple of weeks, maybe a month or so after he joined. And he's a young lad, right? And I remember seeing the picture, and he's driving into training in a black Ferrari. And I thought to myself, fuck, man, he must have, he probably didn't buy that out of his signing money. He probably already had that, right? And he was playing in what's known as a farmers league in France. And, you'd think that you know, he's driving around in a fucking Reliant Robin 3-wheeler, and then he gets his move to Arsenal. Now he can afford a car with 4 wheels. Do you know what I mean? He can afford a proper
He
car.
got rid of his John Deere tractor.
FAH, yeah.
He's already got a car that's worth, you know, a fucking
wow.
300 grand before he's even come to us. And there's a part of me that's like, fucking hell, it's fucking how do you motivate yourself when you're already got that? All right, Brownie.
Brownie's
But then
in
on the
the
other
house.
side of it, you know, I can feel that way because I'm never going to be able to afford to buy that car. You know what I'm saying? But if I was his age and I had the corn in the bank, you'd probably see me driving in the training in a fucking black Ferrari as well. So, you know, it's, you know, there's a part of it that can sound envious, but there's another side of it. It's like, well, why would you want to begrudge that off anyone? Whereas Alex Ferguson, he had a thing where a lot of the younger players, like the Rooneys and that, when they started to get a big contract and getting into the team, it was like, you want to buy yourself a Porsche or a Lamborghini, that's fine, but you don't drive it to training. You drive your fucking Ford or your Vauxhall.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You want to go out and buy a fucking Bugatti, great, but don't drive that shit into training.
Well, that and what would that, and that's part of that whole, like, you know, the work hard part, or you know, the bringing a lunch pail to work. I don't know if that's what you call it over there,
Yeah.
but that's that kind of
everybody
that
goes to
mentality
school
that
in
we're
the
going
same
to, you know, we're going
uniform
to
as
work
well,
here, right?
as a
You know, just
student.
like you kind of thing. And you can't show that, like you said, if you're, you know, if you're getting helicoptered in and driving in your Ferrari, it just doesn't. How do your fans look at you and go, oh, yeah, this is what it used to, you know, you can't go and look at the history of the sport and look at it now and go, oh, we're still there. And it's like, no, it's not true anymore.
And then you see Kieran Tierney walking around with a fucking carrier bag from the supermarket. I mean, you know, I mean,
he's probably got a bus pass, right?
Or a bicycle.
He's got a bus pass, but he's just like,
and he's probably on a bit of elastic tucked in his trousers. He just pulls it out and he's showing, you know.
But you know, one thing that I want Tierney to do, and he hasn't. I want him to take this team over. Just take it over. Say, nobody's doing it. I'm just taking it over. I'm gonna be the fire of this team. We've seen it. We just need to see it every
Arteta
game.
will let him.
I don't think so either, but he needs to just go and take it because that's what it's
the
missing.
vice captain, isn't he? He's not even the vice captain.
Yeah.
No.
I just don't see, as much as I would like it to happen, I don't see Tierney becoming our captain until Lacazette, Aubameyang, Xhaka are gone.
Well, but I just want his leadership. I don't even right now. I don't care about the armband because we're not going to get that until, like you said, major changes are done. But I just want that vocal voice on the pitch right now. Somebody be the mouthpiece with this team. If a player gets knocked down, you're right there going, what's going on? And if you want to bring Aubameyang because he's got the armband with you, bring him, right?
Yeah.
But we need to talk to this official. This is not happening. You can't knock down my player like that. You know, that type of stuff.
Yeah, you usually have Gabriel.
Every other team does it, and that's because it's part of the game. But it also just says, you know what, we're not going to get stepped on anymore. It doesn't happen here. We keep saying we're the Arsenal, but the way the players are playing out there, it doesn't look like they believe that, right?
Yeah.
Nobody should be knocking us down. I'm sorry, that doesn't happen.
You know my views on this. I think that Granit Xhaka is that extrovert personality. He's just taking all of the air away from.
He's not here anymore. For the rest of this year, we cannot bring up the name because he's not here. He's not here.
Talking about the captaincy.
No, he's not here. We need somebody today. The game next week, what is it? Saturday? Oh, Monday, right?
He's gone Monday and Friday.
We need somebody Monday and Friday to be right there, leading this team.
Yep.
He's not leading this team.
Gotcha.
I'll
never mention his name again.
No, I'm talking about today. You're talking about next year, and that's too far. The season could be over by that time.
I'm talking about in the recent past. He has been.
No, we're talking about today. That's what we're talking about. You don't want to talk about the past. It's not fun.
We started off.
We weren't talking about the past because. You know why we were talking about the past? Because we're talking about Kieran Tierney not being that vocal person.
But he can do that. He can do that on Monday. A week from Monday, he can do that. Guess what?
All right.
Guess who
can't
Gabriel
both do
It's Monday. You're captain on Monday, okay?
No,
every Monday you're captain.
You don't listen to what I'm saying.
I was laughing at Brownie. He reckons that that Pepe should either A, driven into training in a fucking Citroen 2CV, or B, a fucking bicycle, stripy vest, and a string of onions around his neck. Not stereotyping at all there, but I like it.
And he is Ivory Coast, not French. So
Yeah, exactly. He's not even
You know what?
French.
Really is really. He
Brownie,
doesn't
you
like
He's
should
not
me,
even
know.
man.
French. He's Ivory Coast.
Really does not like me. Look what he's doing out
But
there.
Brownie, Ivory Coast, Brownie. Come on, get with the program.
You know you love
Gary and
Granite.
Jacka, come on.
Really,
You
stop
know
it.
you love Granite.
On
You
Monday
know what?
morning, you're
As I
cheering, you
said
can be
multiple
captain.
times, when I hear him speak, I'm like, "That's my captain." But then that's the only thing, and then it's over after that.
Not when he says you're playing scared.
No,
That's
I
not your
haven't heard that.
captain.
I haven't heard that interview. Have you heard that interview?
That was Watford 2 seasons
I didn't hear
ago.
that interview, so I'm gonna.
I heard
I'm
it.
gonna.
You heard it, but you didn't hear it. Okay, I got you.
No, I didn't hear that interview.
2 years
you?
ago,
Horrible interview.
2-2 Watford.
We were scared.
Yeah,
You didn't hear it, seriously?
I don't. No, I didn't.
Okay.
I might have read
Captain
it.
should
I might
never
have
say
read
you're
it because
playing
I don't. You know,
scared.
I don't get those. I don't get those interviews that often. I have to search for them.
You're on with Ryan all the time. He mentions it all the fucking time. More
We're
than
never
I
going to
do.
find them on Pornhub, Gary, for a
I just-
start. So
I don't know what you're talking about. One, what is that? No, don't tell me. Don't tell me. Don't tell me. Don't tell me.
Don Juan, we actually covered Newcastle, but a little bit earlier. Football is slowly dying, guys. As a football purist, seeing Newcastle buy the league might be the final straw for me. This is something that is an issue, has been an issue ever since Chelsea came on the scene. They were bought for £1, right? Chelsea were bought for £1.
I literally saw somebody refer to Newcastle as Taliban FC earlier. I mean, it's a bit extreme, isn't it? Do you know what I mean?
It's just the black and white colors,
ISIS
right?
fucking bought Newcastle.
It's the black and white colors as well, which lends to it, you know.
To ISIS.
Yeah, to be a purist.
Yeah, I did hear one good thing though, because you know that their motto is "Away the lads," right up there, "Away the lads."
Oh, did you see the shirt, the new shirt?
Halal the lads.
Hello, lads. Yeah. So listen, should we wrap it up there, or Tony, you want to extend it a bit longer? Any other?
Tony wanted to extend it. He wanted to bring up the winter transfer since the World Cup's 13 months away. To be a really busy to not be the normal winter transfer. You'd have players wanting to go out and play because in the summer you only have 3 months to show yourself.
I think you're reaching now. I think you're reaching.
I don't think I'm reaching. It's gonna be a big
Who's
fucking
coming?
winter window.
There aren't any spots on Arsenal. Have you seen? We can't even get a lot of our bench on the field.
Well, that's because we have a shit manager that ain't good enough. But that's a different story.
You see that changing in the winter transfer window?
Not when Lee Dixon says that Arsenal can stick with him for 2 years, which scares the shit out of me.
There we
Give
go.
him 2 years.
Chelsea was bought for £1 when Ken Bates bought it. So Chelsea actually don't own Stamford Bridge. Their supporters trust own it, hence why they can't move. USA won 2-0 CONCACAF against Jamaica.
I mean, if you watch that match, there were two poor decisions by the official. 2 times the USA was on goal in front of the defender, and they were brought down, and both times just a yellow card.
They should have been sending offs, right?
Should have been a red card, yes.
Yeah. Let's finish on this point. We'll pick up your point maybe at the weekend, Tony.
Who are we playing? Who's England playing then on Saturday? I didn't even know England were playing on Saturday until I saw it.
Is it Andorra or something like that? Why do I have that name in my head?
Who?
I remember when it was cars parked behind the goal at Stamford Bridge. Yeah, exactly.
Who's
Terry
England
Dixon.
I thought it was Andorra, but I think I'm off. I don't think I'm right about that.
Does Ramsdale deserve a start, Stan?
Is it a friendly or is it matter?
It matters.
Huh?
It matters. Yeah, I think it's.
Why would you change it then? You know, if you got your number one goalkeeper, right? Why would you What, you're bringing in Ramsdale? It's going to put him straight in there to play. What, is Pickford no longer the number? You know what I mean? I don't see that happening.
And Southgate does seem to be the loyal.
Yeah, if
type
you
of
were right, Gary, it's Andorra.
Andorra way seems
You
really
should
as
walk
well.
it then, shouldn't you? I mean, it shouldn't be a fucking problem at all.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be. It's like playing San Marino, isn't it?
Shouldn't have to play with
Because
a
they probably
goalkeeper.
have a tougher match the next one. I don't know if that means they would play, get both matches. But
Who would have played in the next one, Tony?
Yeah, hold on.
because they play them pretty close together, right? It's like 3 or 4 day difference.
Keepers don't get as knackered though, do they? The keepers, you can usually, play them in 2 games in quick succession.
So then there's no reason for Ramsdale to take that spot unless he goes out and the next time they have an international break, he's only given up just the 1 goal to
Hungary.
Spurs, Hungary. So
Then
that's gonna be
Albania.
a tougher match, right?
November,
So I think Hungary actually, if I recall,
Could be a home game.
had some tough games in Europa.
In
League.
November, they got
Europa.
Albania and San Marino, so they got a real tough schedule coming up.
I don't want any of our players to play any international games.
I'm with you.
Yeah.
I just don't want them to get hurt or anything like that. And I'd just rather they weren't.
We don't really have the bandwidth to take any losses.
No.
Yeah.
Listen, I think we scratched around enough for a couple hours.
One more thing, though. There's one thing. What about there's boxing on Saturday? World Heavyweight Championship. Deontay Wilder and
Ray doesn't like boxing.
Tyson Fury 3, the 3rd installment of these 2. You're not interested?
Ray likes watching peonies race. He doesn't like boxing.
Yeah, not so
I
much.
saw the interview or whatever they had a couple
press
days ago.
conference.
The press conference. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. What is his name? Fury against
Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder. He's the American.
Deontay.
Your guy.
Yeah, no, Deontay Wilder. I mean, I don't think he's going to be. He's not a good talker in terms of hyping up a fight. Fury is for sure. I mean, but I don't think Deontay Wilder is much of a talker. So I'm not
He's
sure.
got a deadly punch though. He's probably the hardest puncher at the minute. If you get one off of him, that's it. He might not be the best boxer. I think Tyson Fury.
He just can't knock him out for whatever reason.
Tyson Fury. Sometimes I look at a boxer. I either call him a boxer or a fighter. There's differences, right? I think that Anthony Joshua is a boxer. Chris Eubank was a boxer. Nigel Benn, he was a fighter. Tyson Fury looks like he's both. He looks like a boxer and a fighter. He can do both.
Okay, tell me, the untrained, unknowledgeable person, what's the difference between a boxer and a fighter?
A boxer is kind of more of they box for the points. It's very calculated.
What's his name? The guy that's undefeated.
Mayweather.
Mayweather can box. But like Mike Tyson will fight you, or he used to fight you when he
the fighter will go for a knockout.
Mike Tyson's not looking to score points. He literally wants to take your head off.
Yeah.
And then shout.
Because I think like the Hagler Leonard fights, that was a lot of boxing going on in there. If you were a fighter, you're probably going to get in trouble. So you had to be able to box. I believe in those types of fights, right?
Late 70s, early 80s, you had a lot of boxing going on in the heavyweight.
Hagler is like Fury. Hagler seemed to be able to do both.
Yeah. Lombard Camp said Wilder Fury at 4 a.m. We haven't seen that already. Then also, we're never going to see Fury versus AJ now. The man let us down badly. It pissed me right off.
I think the best thing that could happen is obviously I want Tyson. I want to see a unified division. One man has got all of the belts. I want to see that. It'd be quite a good thing to see.
Wow.
And I would love to see it between 2 Brits, AJ and Tyson Fury. I'd love to see that for British boxing. I think it's like 5 belts would be on the line, 4 or 5 belts. But I think the best thing that can happen now, hopefully I want Tyson Fury to beat Deontay Wilder. And then AJ's got to have his rematch now with Ersk. It's all going to hinge on that. Because should Deontay Wilder put down Fury, surely as the champion, he's already got in his contract that he can activate a mandatory rematch, which is what Deontay Wilder did, which is why we got the third fight. So it could go on for fucking ever. This go between Wilder and fucking Fury. It could be another couple. So Don one says that he thinks that AJ is done out. I mean,
that fight did not look good for him. I mean, the bits that I saw, it did not look good.
I said, right, I was watching it. My missus was away. I sat there on my own watching it. And when he came out, was doing his walk to the ring, he was like, all right, oh, how are you? Hey, man. And I was watching it and I was like, you don't look focused at all, mate. You look like you're walking through the shopping mall, just high-fiving everybody. He didn't, you know, I don't know whether that was overconfidence. But
yeah, well, he didn't look like, I don't know what, you were talking about a boxer or a fighter. He didn't look like either in that fight.
no,
To me at
no,
all.
he
Like,
struggled.
I mean, it looked like he forgot all about what was it, like you said, what he was there for.
I think he was being exposed twice now. I mean, that loss against Andy Ruiz. I mean, the guy was literally eating a Mars bar when he came out to the ring. And then, I mean, I don't know if you saw this.
Well, that's when Tyson got beat up. When Tyson lost, when he got knocked out the first. A similar thing, right? Guy, Buster Douglas. You're like, okay, this should be an easy one for Tyson. He's just gonna body blow him to death. Nope.
But this guy though, and that guy Andy Ruiz, he just looked like some fat bloke who was walking by the building. They said, "Hey, oh, we need a fighter. Come in and do this. Put these shorts on." And the guy's still eating his Mars bar, walking in, and he beat him. You know what I mean? And there's no way. There's no way. So obviously the mandatory rematch, had to get his belts back, but I think he's shown that I think he's shown his weaknesses now between that and the Ersk fight. And Tyson Fury turned around and said in his interview that him and his trainer, they would happily volunteer to train Anthony Joshua to fight his rematch with Ersk. And he said, if we trained him, he won't lose. We guarantee it. And he said, I'd even do it for free. He goes, it's not just me mouthing off. If he took it, because we could show him how to beat that guy. So anyway, I like the boxing. I just wanted to bring that up because it's
days
away now.
AJ ain't beating anyone serious with a man in his corner. Brilliant, AJ. You're doing great. When my man was
Ray likes F1 and peonies.
Yeah, so it's going to be F1 for me. It's going to be, I think, the Turkish Grand Prix for me this weekend. But really did want to get our thoughts on Marco Asensio. I think we're stocked with wingers. Do we need another winger as a club?
Well, we linked with him, are we?
Apparently so.
And we can always get rid of Pepe. Martinelli doesn't get to play for whatever fucking reason.
Yeah.
Can he play on either flank or does he play on one or the other? I don't know too much about Asensio. I know who he is, but I don't watch him play a lot. So, what does he play? Right or left?
It says right winger on this one, on this the transfer mark site. So
they're usually pretty.
Right wing. That would take Saka's place or Pepe's place. So. Yeah, probably not going to happen.
Do with another winger. I think we could do it, and we could do with a winger that is comfortable on either flank. I think would be perfect.
Yeah, probably not going to happen.
Yeah, we need a striker first.
Yeah,
I'd like to see Pepe. I'd like to see Pepe get back into the team. I talked about our front four, and I think Erdegaard or Emil Smith-Rowe needs to be one of those players moving forward for Pepe to create a little bit more chaos throughout the season. And
we already know our Uncle Artie's not going to play Pepe. Get over it, Ray.
Yeah, I know. This is why it is going to be a roller coaster season. I do like Marco Asensio. I can't see it happening. We need a central midfielder. So ASAP. Yeah, exactly.
I tell you what, a nice bit of business would be in January. Donny van der Beek on loan with an option to buy.
Yes, from one of our rivals, Manchester United. One of our Premier League rivals.
Listen, we're still on that with Donny.
If they don't want to play him, then what's the
Yeah. Well, they don't want to improve another team either. They may not want him to go to another Premier League.
He's pissed off though. You can see he's pissed off, mate. The body language, he's throwing his shin pads around. And rightly so.
All right, listen, we'll leave it there. This has been a real interlull episode. Hasn't been a whole lot to talk about, but I think kudos
Ray's
to us.
trying to land this plane early.
We were able to waffle on for a couple hours, and that's what it's all about, right?
Yeah,
Let's land
enjoyed
this
it.
fucker,
Yeah.
Ray.
What's that, Tony?
So let's land this fucker. Put the landing
Land this
gear
fucker.
down.
Yeah, listen, we'll see you at the weekend. We are out of here. Thanks, everyone, for watching. As always, those who are from the UK, especially at crazy hours, hanging
Ray
out with
even
us.
skipped final
Thank
thoughts.
you very much for sticking with us.
Final thoughts, Tony.
Final thoughts. I'll start off with kind of what we were talking about earlier with chigs and stuff. Don't delay calling your loved ones if they're away from you, and don't come up with excuses. Live in the moment. Act like they're not another moment, and just go out and do what you want to do instead of procrastinating because you don't know if
Sure.
that time's gonna be there. Tomorrow.
Exactly.
It's
And
not guaranteed.
I would add on to that: enjoy the roller coaster, enjoy the ride, and
You and that goddamn roller coaster.
Stan,
My final thoughts.
give Gary the last word.
Good thing we got rid of Terrera. He could ride on the roller coaster with us.
He's too short. Yeah.
I'm going to go with Tyson Fury, round 8.
Okay. I don't know what that means, but I'm sure people do now.
I think
He
it's gonna be a
wins
knockout
in
either
round
way.
8, I reckon. It's not going to go the
I
distance.
think someone's
this
gonna
time.
get knocked out this time.
It's not going the distance.
All right, Gary, you get the final word.
Yeah, well, as my, I'll just say what I usually say at the end of my show. You know, life is a journey. Don't waste the trip. Enjoy the ride.
Yep.
All right, everyone in the chat, thank you for hanging out with us. We will see you next, I guess, on the Sunday, and then we'll be
Whatever
talking
time
about our
Ray
next
picks.
match coming up. So yeah,
What time, Ray?
Fluid time. We'll see.
Fluid time.
Fluid time. Irish time. Take care, everyone.
Plus or minus 3 hours Irish time.
I'm gonna cut you off now. Bye.